Canadian Professional Football on CBC. Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, owned by Canadians, working for Canadians. General Motors and your Chevrolet and Oldsmobile dealers across Canada. The designated #1 quarterback of the Montreal Alouettes, Joe Barnes. He just might be the most exciting quarterback in the CFL right now. All-star, all-Canadian defensive back Dickie Harris, 31 career interceptions. He's now just 3 behind the career team record held by Ed Learn. And meet Billy Troop, tonight's starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He started 11 games for the Baltimore Colts last season and now joins the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as a free agent. Tonight, from Olympic Stadium in Montreal, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, winless in 3 games, meet the Montreal Alouettes, defending Eastern Conference champions.
This is the premiere performance of the unique Algoma Steel Symphony. Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, of particular interest to the various instruments. The seamless steel pipe, light rails and heavy rails, ingots, blooms, billets and slabs, forged grinding balls, the white flange beam, auto-cold rolled sheet, and strip steel, and the ever-popular plate steel. As you can see, harmonious variety is the keynote of the Algoma Steel performance. At Canadian Pacific, keeping in tune with customers' needs is very important to us. That's why we think our subsidiary Algoma makes such beautiful music in the steel business.
At Canadian Pacific, we believe what we do is important to you.
Well, they call it the Big O. Welcome once again to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. This is the home of one of the winningest teams in all of Major League sports right now, the Montreal Expos, and certainly the Montreal Alouettes. Hope that if winning is contagious, it will happen for them tonight. Hello again, everybody. Tom McKee along with Don Chevrier and Russ Jackson. With me now is the head coach, Ray Yock, of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And if you can make it not contagious, Ray, I'm sure you want to win this football game and beat the Alouettes.
Well, we don't want that disease to spread, too far to the other team. They got a good football team, and I think that we'll have to play pretty hard to win the ball game. They're still the Eastern champions. They have a fine group of young men, and I know that they're rallying and they're coming on stronger and stronger all the time.
This is a very pivotal game for you. Would that be fair in saying that, and the fact that you haven't won a game?
Well, I don't know. Somewhere along the line there's a pivotal game. Whether this is or not, I don't know. We're in the process of building a football team. I think our guys' attitude has been real good. We played well against BC. We didn't win, but that's neither here nor there. We had our opportunities. I think that if we could win a game, it would help our football team. And as you say, if that's a pivotal point, then that's what it is.
Thank you very much, Ray. Good luck. Have a good ball game. Okay. Now let's go upstairs to the play-by-play booth and Don Chevrier.
All right, Tom, while it's almost a must game for Winnipeg, it's a big game for Montreal, too. They're in a 3-way tie for first place in the CFL East. And, of course, fans across the country and also in the United States want to have a look at this guy, the #1 NFL draft choice, Tom Cousineau, who's playing an outside linebacking spot, has had certain problems in that area in his first couple of appearances for Montreal. Tony Petruccio will play a defensive end. He's a Penn State rookie, 6'4", 245, replacing the injured Gabriel Gregoire. Out of the backfield for the Blue Bombers, this pair. Jay Washington, the CFL leader in rushing 2 of the past 3 years, and Larry Washington, picked up by the Bombers from the Edmonton Eskimos. Of course, the quarterback for the Bombers, Billy Troop, an ex-NFLer, bears watching too, Russ Jackson. But the problem may be in the secondary defensively for the Bombers.
Don, I think one of the big surprises that Ray Yock came up with at the start of this year was the fact that he started 3 Canadian linebackers. 3 of them The guy that's hoped to anchor this group is Bob Toogood, number 32, who's been around for 6 years, and Dunk McKinley on the other side is the other outside linebacker, an outstanding linebacker at the University of Western Ontario, playing his second year with Winnipeg. But the big surprise is Leo Ezrins, the guy in the middle. He played tight end for Huey Campbell at Whitworth College, and now they've converted him into a linebacker. And this is a real surprise because he's replacing quite a good one in Harry Walters, who was traded to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And when you start 3 young Canadian kids, one guy in the middle who's never played defense before in his life, then you have to have a few problems to start with.
A lot of question marks. Then I mentioned the quarterback, Billy Troop. There he is. I know he impressed you with the way he throws the football in warm-up tonight.
He throws the ball right over the top. When you watch him, he's 6'5", so you realize how tall he is and how long his arms are, and he's not going to have any problems throwing over the defensive line because he does deliver the ball straight over the top. He's a typical NFL type, drop straight back. I'm sure he's not going to run out of the pocket too much.
He was the starter in 11 games in Baltimore last year when Burt Jones was injured for the Baltimore Colts. Now we're almost ready for the national anthem from the Big O, the Olympic Stadium here in Montreal, as these teams decide who's going to kick and who's going to receive in this CFL interlocking game. Looks as though the Bombers are going to receive the football. And a little different, it appears as though Roger Doucette is not with us tonight for the national anthem. He's down there on the sideline, but he's resting the vocal cords and taking a night off. This crowd will fall below expectations here. About 35,000, Bob Geary, the Alouette general manager, estimates. The Alouettes drawing just over 50 for their other home game this season on the regular campaign against the Calgary Stampeders, a crowd of 51,000 that night.
And the Alouettes looking for their first win against Western competition, having lost the 2 games to Western teams and beaten 2 in the East here, the Toronto Argonauts and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So looking to break through that Western string.
Ready now for the anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Roger Doucette and our national anthem.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Au
Roger Doucette sending his wife out to work tonight to sing the national anthem here in Montreal. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in just a moment.
At one time, Canadian Pacific was primarily owned outside this country, in Britain, in the United States, and in a few other countries. In those days, Canadians were low man on the totem pole. But today, that's all changed. Today, over 70% of Canadian Pacific is owned by Canadians. And that certainly looks much better to us.
At Canadian Pacific, we believe what we are is important to you.
So the Montreal Alouettes down sweet, teeing it up, 45-yard line, getting set to kick to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bombers with deep receiver stationed near the goal line. Mike Holmes, number 70, and Vince Faison, number 8. Ray Yock, his team winless in 3 tries. Needs one here tonight against the Alouettes. Holmes, the 2-yard line. A good run back for the Bombers. Holmes all the way out to the 50-yard line. He brought it back about 47 to 48 yards. Larry Utek made the stop, an ex-BC Lion and Toronto Argonaut.
Well, Don, looked like Holmes may break that one all the way. He received it down in the left corner and came right up that left side, and there were only 2 Alouettes on that particular side of the field. And except for Larry Utek, who was the safety man, he looked like he may go all the way. Looking at the Winnipeg receivers with Brian Gervais playing that tight end spot, Gord Patterson, Mike Holmes, and Louis Pasaglia, his brother. Young rookie playing this other wide receiver.
Jerry Inglis, the backup center and a member of the Bombers special teams, number 48, is down and receiving some attention at the 20-yard line. Injured on that opening kickoff. It was a good opening kickoff by Mike Holmes, number 70 of the Bombers. Let's look at it again.
Well, as Holmes took it in this left corner and came up this sideline, there were really only 2 Alouettes immediately in the play, and Winnipeg took them out here. Number 22, Gaddis, on the outside had a shot, and Iraqi, who's going to probably be playing some of that tight end spot with Peter Delariva out of there, had a shot at him. But Holmes, with that great speed, he's the outside receiver that can break it all the way. And when Brock is in there, he's always looking for him. It'll be interesting to see if Billy Troop looks for him as often.
There's Jerry Inglis being assisted across field to the Blue Bomber bench. Getting some support for one leg that certainly is not as strong as the other. And here is Billy Troop to direct the Bombers from the 49-yard line. He comes back to Larry Washington, but could not hang on to the ball. Play action fake went to Washington. Came right back with a screen pass to him, but the Alouettes read it beautifully. Glenn Weir was there. Cousineau, a much heralded corner linebacker from Montreal, not far from the play either.
I don't think he's playing tonight, Don, and Tom may see a lot of that guy down on the sidelines tonight.
Has some great mascots. That's the Alouette mascot. You've seen the Montreal Expo version of their mascot at Olympic Stadium on previous CBC baseball telecasts. 2nd down and 10. Troop again out to Washington. This time he brings it down, but it'll be a loss of a couple of yards. Tony Proudfoot, number 23, covering for Montreal. The Bombers will have to give the ball up on 3rd down and 12.
Well, looks like they're going to find out what Cousineau can do. He has not played that outside linebacker spot in college, and having come to the Alouettes, they've moved him out there with Carl Cornell still playing in the middle, and he's told people that playing that outside is a little more difficult than playing the middle, and they've gone both times to that side of the field.
Ernie Ruoff, that is his average this season. All 5 Western punters ahead of the East in averages in 1979. This is Dickie Harris. Out to his 25-yard line. So the Alouettes will start from there. Let's check on that early injury in this ball game with Tom McKee.
Well, here's Jerry Inglis down here on the bench. Were you blindsided there, Jerry, or what?
I don't know. I just seemed to plant my foot and take him on the kickoff return, and as I planted my leg, he twisted. My leg just seemed to give in, and it just went down. I don't know.
Pain shot right up into your shoulder, I'll bet.
Well, a little sore. But it'll be all right. I'll be back.
Montreal with Joe Barnes as the starting quarterback. 1st down, the 25-yard line. David Green cannot get outside. They limit him to maybe a yard at the most. It was Vince Faison and Leo Ezrins, the middle linebacker, coming up to react well for Winnipeg on that play and shut him off as he made the turn.
Good job by Vince Faison and Brian Hiroshin, who was on the injured list for a while, having had an injury coming to training camp and coming up and turning that play well inside for Faison to make the tackle. But one of the offensive changes for this Alouette club is that Jerry Detilio is playing as a wide receiver, number 9, in place of Baker, who is a fine American receiver that they've had to limit his action because of Petruccio being put in as defensive lineman.
Here's Barnes over the middle. It is complete to John O'Leary, and he's got some room. Midfield, the Blue Bomber 45-yard line, all the way down to the Winnipeg 39, the 39-yard line. That's a 46-yarder. Barnes to O'Leary.
John O'Leary, who is just a fine pass receiver, comes out of the backfield and comes over the middle, and the official seemed to get in the way of number 55, Dunk McKinley, who looks like he had coverage on O'Leary coming out of the backfield, and he just got tripped up, or he might have gone all the way.
At O'Leary, he's injured, you know. He's got some rib problems on his right side. They didn't want to play him tonight, but his parents are here, so he wanted to play.
And he's playing. Here's Green, the left side. He tries, picks up about 5. Nosing into the 34-yard line of the Bombers. Ezrin's number 72. Again with the Winnipeg tackles. The Alouettes are halfway to a first down now from the Blue Bomber 34. This drive, of course, was highlighted so far by that big play from Barnes to John O'Leary.
A little bit of rain starting to come down here. Supposed to be some electricity in the area. Let's hope it avoids Olympic Stadium.
Tom, it seems to follow you wherever you go.
Wherever. Like a little black cloud up there.
All kinds of time for Barnes to throw. And to the sidelines, it is no good. Fans hollering for interference out there. Number 30, Herosian, playing coverage on the pass receiver, Larry Smith. He's not complaining very much, though, Russ.
No, he isn't. Joe Scannella might be complaining a little bit. It was right over by the Winnipeg bench, so Joe doesn't have a very good shot of that. Ray Yock on the phone there, but Larry Smith will probably be thrown to a great deal tonight because Peter Della Riva, one of their prime receivers, is out now and will be out for about 4 or 5 weeks with some problems with his leg.
And a holding call against Montreal on that play. David Green is called for holding. And that's going to take it back to the 45-yard line. The Bombers accepting the penalty. It's going to be 2nd down and 16.
Well, some people might wonder why they're accepting that penalty, but they're hoping they can hold the Alouettes here and maybe have moved Don Sweet out of field goal range.
They'll try to hold him. Otherwise, it's almost an automatic 3 points they were looking at on 3rd down and 5 with Sweet coming in there. Bob Gaddis, the 31-yard line, will be short by 2 of the first down. Reggie Pearson pushed him out of bounds for the Bombers. 3rd and 2 coming up. Joe Scanella's got a decision to make.
Well, Joe Barnes rolling out to the right here had no pressure, and so far during this ball game, the offensive line that has been given a lot of flack, you might say, from this Montreal media, has done a good job of collecting or protecting Barnes. And Bob Toogood, number 32, trying to contain him, couldn't do it, and he got the ball to Gaddis, just short of the first down. And we will now see Don Sweet.
Here he is. The attempt will come from the 39-yard line. Jerry DiTilio. That's as close as he'll come to quarterbacking in this game unless we get some injuries to Barnes and Kilcagney. Will spot the ball for him. It is good. Don Sweet hits from 39 yards away. And the Alouettes jump into a 3-0 lead here. 4.5 minutes gone in the first quarter. On Don Sweet's 9th field goal of the season, he is 9 for 12 now on the year. The Alouettes lead the Bombers 3-0. Winnipeg takes it first down, their 35-yard line. Jay Washington for about 7. It's out near the 41-yard line is where they mark him. The gain is going to be 6 in the grasp of Wally Buono and Jim Burrow. Wide receivers for Winnipeg are Gord Patterson, Mike Holmes, and Walt Bisaglia. Look for them to catch some action. Here's Buono.
Well, Wally Buono, number 39, does a pretty good job of coming up here and taking on that offensive block of number 54, Greg Kindle. But Jay Washington did an excellent job of getting rid of Glenn Weir behind the line of scrimmage and made the 6 yards.
It is 2nd and 4, the 41-yard line. Billy Troop has a strike. It'll be a Blue Bomber first down. Ball came loose, picked up by Burrow. Montreal wins a turnover. Brian Gervais had the ball, and it was picked right out of his hands by Jim Burrow, number 16.
Well, Jim Burrow is just stealing this ball away from the offensive receiver. It looked like we had the completion. Troop throwing the short pass on a 2nd and 4 situation just outside the linebacker, number 39, but Burrow just wrestled it away and came up with the ball and gives the Alouettes a big turnover and good field position, but that's just Avery.
Yep, he stole it. Bomber 41.5. David Green. He's got some room out there now, and he picks up a first down for Montreal. Good effort and a lot of hard work by number 26, who takes it downfield about 14 yards. Green, as you know, joined the Alouettes late last season, was very impressive in the stretch drive through the playoffs and the Grey Cup game of 1978. Right now, that's where he stands in rushing in the CFL East.
Had a good opening ball game, but the last two haven't been as effective.
You guys see that lightning up there in the relative confines and security you live in?
Not so far. Flag thrown. Good catch made. David Green once again. Shredding tacklers getting down to the 10-yard line.
Well, I would guess we might have a holding call because the referee threw that in the backfield, and Helton was putting some pretty good pressure on number 99, the defensive tackle, and the Montreal offensive line probably got called.
Could be Pat Bonnet trying to hold off Helton.
Hold on. 50. First down.
That's who it is. Number 50, Pat Bonnet. His holding penalty wipes out that big play.
I think John Helton has found the fountain of youth out there in Winnipeg, having played for Calgary, had so many outstanding years. This time he's putting good pressure on as Barnes released that ball out to David Green, who again ran with real authority here, not letting an arm tackle bring him down by Hirosian. But unfortunately, the call against the Montreal Alouettes has moved them back to a 2nd and 20.
Barnes going long again. Man open. No good. Bob Gaddis could not hang on to it. He had his man beaten, Brad Wagner, by a good 5 yards, Russ.
Well, he won't drop too many of those. Bob Gaddis has been a very good receiver for this Montreal club. He's their outside threat, really their only outside threat. This time he lined up on the left side and just ran by Brad Wagner. The ball was thrown just with a little bit of a tail on it here, and it hangs up, and Gaddis, who was so far in behind Wagner, had to sort of back up and wait for it, and he just got caught off balance as the ball came down, and he couldn't control it. But he won't drop too many of those. But this Montreal offense has been very effective in this first half of this first quarter.
That groan you heard was from the crowd. They saw the replay on the big scoreboard here in Montreal just a moment ago, along with you. Here is the second down play. No good. In behind John O'Leary, so the Alouettes go 0 for 2 on Barnes' long passes. The score, Montreal 3, Winnipeg nothing, and we'll be right back. Well, the rain seems to follow us wherever we go on the CFL Eastern telecast. We are now 3 for 3 for getting out the umbrellas. Thunder roaring overhead, lightning in the sky, as Tom McKee said, as the Montreal Alouettes are going to be third down. A field goal attempt from 45 yards away by Don Sweet. Within his range for 1979. The line drive is over. Just over. Sweet gives the Alouettes a 6-0 lead.
That certainly was a line drive situation as Sweet kicks his second field goal to make the score 6-0. But this Winnipeg club now in this rain is going to have to mount some type of offense because Montreal has shown that they're going to put some pressure on those linebackers we talked about at the top of the show. They're throwing underneath. They're not throwing deep other than the one that Gaddis dropped, but they're throwing underneath to O'Leary, to the backs coming out of the backfield, and this is going to present some problems for those three young linebackers.
The Bombers have had, apart from them, some problems just in tackling in open field situations. Montreal's total offense now with this game about 8 minutes old is 79 yards.
Well, Don, what
Winnipeg
happened?
has 20 yards total offense.
Looking at some of the girls here with the Alouettes, some of their genteel Alouettes. But, Don, what happens with those linebackers? They tend to overrun the play a great deal. They're anxious to be in the right position, and if you overrun, it's difficult to make that good hit. As far as the tackle's concerned, you get a lot of arm tackling, and Green has shown tonight that he's not going to go down easy, and the same as O'Leary on that one run after he caught the pass.
Well, with Don Sweet teeing it up from the 35-yard line, the Bombers this time will elect to receive. They started from the 35 after Sweet's first field goal. Remember the big run back by Holmes on the first kickoff? Let's see if Sweet keeps it away from him and goes to Faison. That's exactly what he's going to do. Over to Faison at the 20-yard line. He doesn't get far. Pulled down short of the 40 at the Bomber 38. Tom?
6-0 ball game for sure, but as you take a look at the east end, and you can't see it too much up there as we get up above the roof that is here at Olympic Stadium, but believe it or not, folks across Canada, they have started building the rest of the tower that was supposed to be completed for the 1976 Olympics. They expect the roof to be completed on this edifice facility and in operation for the final game of next season. So that'll ease a lot of minds. A lot of people never thought they'd get that roof on here.
This is Larry Washington hitting inside for about 5 near the 44-yard line. The grasp of Carl Cornell, the Alouettes middle linebacker, number 72. That roof, when it does go on too, has got to save the Expos a lot of possible rain dates and grief in the future. In fact, it wouldn't be bad right now, this lightning, this thunder.
Well, Jim Cousineau, number 45, we're isolating on him, and number 54, Greg Kindle, the offside offensive guard, trapped him out pretty well as he came up over the line of scrimmage trying to force the play.
Bombers halfway to a first down. Billy Troop over the middle. That is complete in first down range up around the 53 for Gordy Patterson, number 34.
Well, there's no question Troop likes to throw that ball. When he was at college, he left the University of Virginia and went over to the University of Southern California or Southern Carolina just because the University of Virginia went to a running game. So he's going to put that ball in the air a great deal.
That is the Bombers' first down tonight.
Don't want to really belabor the point, but that lightning is really getting bad. In fact, there was an electric storm warning on radio here about 2 or 3 hours ago.
They were dead on. No room there for Larry Washington. Glenn Weir, the veteran defensive tackle on the right side, made the stop. The gain is going to be a yard. Baseball score for you. We'll follow both Canadian teams tonight. Kansas City 2, Toronto 2 in Toronto. They're still awaiting a score from the Expos playing the Phillies at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. We'll get that to you shortly. 2nd and 9, Winnipeg, Montreal 54-yard line. Troop thought he had all day until Tony Petruccio from Penn State, the rookie, arrived on the scene.
Well, you can't blame the offensive line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that time. The Montreal Alouettes rushed the 4 interior linemen, and they did a good job of protecting Billy Troop. He just could not find the receiver. The credit goes to those defensive backs and linebackers who covered all the receivers very well.
So it is 3rd down and 17. Dickie Harris going back with Randy Rhino for the Bernie Ruoff punt for Winnipeg. They're standing at the Alouette 20-yard line. Montreal leads at 6-0. A pair of Don Sweet field goals. They played just 10.5 minutes of the CFL interlocking game here in Montreal tonight. This is for Randy Rhino. At the Montreal bench, he's taken down near the 35-yard line by John McCorkindale. Only a 32-yard punt, and Rhino brought it back 12 for Montreal. The Alouettes will go from their own 34. Ray Ock with his good work with the Eskimos in Edmonton, suffering early season frustrations here in Winnipeg. The Bombers lost their first 2 last year. In fact, their game with Montreal was a real turnaround. The Alouettes led at 10-0. The Bombers had 33 points in the second quarter that night. Went on to win at 36-10 in Winnipeg in 1978. Right here, they trail 6-0 to Montreal. That is Green getting up for about 3 as he crossed the 35-yard line. Billy Howard, the right defensive tackle, number 73, stopped him.
And Don, you talk about last year's game over the last 5 years in this interlocking schedule with Winnipeg playing the Alouettes. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have won 4 of those 5 ball games, and they're looking possibly to get on the win column tonight against these Alouettes.
With their winless record so far, the Alouettes, the Bombers' winless record, that is, the Alouettes were favored by more than a touchdown entering tonight's game. Joe Barnes thinks twice about throwing. Here comes the pursuit. He pops it up. It could have been picked off out there. The official got flattened on the far side. But he appears to be all right.
Boy, that's one of the things that you just don't want to do. Gaddis was the intended receiver going downfield. And good coverage put on him by Brad Wagner this time. Gaddis trying to go deep. Barnes unable to get that ball down to him and almost gave it up with an interception there as he popped it up as he was chased down by number 32, Bob Toogood.
That's where the pressure came from, number 32. Tom?
You mentioned Peter Dallariva was in the out of the game. He is in the stadium tonight. In fact, limping around up there where you guys are. But he's going to join me after the second quarter and give his analytical view on the first half of this game.
All right, 3rd down and 8. Wally Buono, the Montreal punter. Got a high snap to him. Here comes the charge. He's got it up. This is Holmes. A flag likely for no yards. Holmes going way back.
Look out.
He's got room on the left side now. He gets a block or two down that sideline. Holmes tightropes it finally out of bounds at the 49-yard line of Montreal. He gambled, got some extra yardage on that, but there is a flag. We'll see what it's all about, and play resumes in just a moment. Here's your score from the Big O in Montreal.
Holmes realizing that the no yards penalty had been called with the Jerry DiTilio being inside Faison trying to block him, realized he could gamble, and he ran back about 20 yards to get it up to the 51-yard line, and they refused the no yards penalty after his great return.
And of Montreal, Jay Washington gets a block from Larry, and he's down close to a first down to the Bombers inside the Alouette 40 between the 38 and the 39. Randy Rhino and Dickie Harris combining on the stops for the Alouettes that time, as we have just over 2 minutes until the end of the first quarter. And a pair of field goals has Montreal in front 6-0. There are the officials led by Blair Shallow, the referee-in-chief. Of course, 6-man officiating teams, the Vogue here in 1979 in the CFL. That was Winnipeg's first down rushing tonight. And they have done some studies on the early season results of the extra official. And it seems that it's been a deterrent to extra flags as opposed to a catalyst. Larry Washington, just brute force, gets him about 4 yards as he pushed Tom Cousineau, number 45, straight back on contact. So the gain is going to be 4 yards for the Blue Bombers. They'll be second down, about 6 to go. Baseball coming up for you. Tomorrow night, the Expos meet the Phillies at Veterans Stadium. Dave Van Horn, Duke Snyder, and Bob McDevitt there on the CBC television network tomorrow night. That's a big one. Montreal and Philadelphia. We'll have scores as we go along on tonight's game between those two. And the Blue Jays in Kansas City, who are tied 2-2 right now in Toronto. That was for Patterson. Burrow got over there a little bit late for the coverage, but the ball was a bit short of his receiver. So it'll go to 3rd down and 6 Bombers.
Well, that time they came with the linebackers and Randy Rhino, the safety. They really blitzed Billy Troop for the first time, and he's just stood right in there and threw that ball downfield, trying to get them in the man-to-man situation. Did a good job, just didn't click with it.
Line of scrimmage is the 35-yard line.
We'll have Ruoff in attempting a field goal, and he has a 51-yarder this year, which is tied for the best and longest field goal this year in the CFL.
Ruoff is 4 for 8. A 42-yarder. It is good. Certainly strong enough all the way. So that cuts the Montreal lead to 3 points. It is 2 field goals to 1. The Alouettes over the Blue Bombers. A 42-yarder by Bernie Ruoff makes it Montreal 6 and Winnipeg 3. We have had a considerable amount of offense, certainly from Montreal early in the quarter, Russ, and then lately Winnipeg began to move the ball, but yet just those field goals on the scoreboard.
Well, the secret of a good offense is to be able to score the touchdowns. They always say that once you get in around that 30-yard line of the opposing team, that's the time when you have to prove that you have the good offense, when you can move it in and score the touchdowns, because they get tight in there. If the defense is going to relax a little bit, it's between the 30-yard lines. And I'm not saying that's what's happening, but certainly the last 30 is the toughest.
Alouettes go from their 35, first down. Barnes rolling and throwing, makes a strike to Jerry DiTilio. Quarterback to ex-quarterback at the 51-yard line. The gain is 16. It is first down, Alouettes. Montreal's total offense now 97, and Winnipeg 41 yards in this first quarter, which has 15 seconds remaining.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense just has not been able to put any pressure on Joe Barnes. They got to him the one time when he threw the ball up for grabs in the last series when he couldn't spring Gaddis loose on a long pattern. But when he's been rolling, there's really been no pressure at all from the linebackers.
One set back, it is David Green. O'Leary up in the slot. Here's the little pitch back to David Green. Turns that corner with his speed, lunges forward to the 50-yard line. That's a gain of 9. It was Dunk McKinley, number 55, in the right corner, making the Winnipeg tackle. And that is it. Final play of the opening 15 minutes. At the end of the first quarter, then the score, Montreal 6 and Winnipeg 3. Well, the first quarter, field goals of 39 on 45 yards by Don Sweet. A 42-yarder by Bernie Ruoff makes it 6-3 Montreal. The Alouettes offensively with a big edge in Winnipeg, 106-37, with one ball carrier so far until now, David Green. But that's John O'Leary getting a first down for Montreal, the 46-yard line. He picks up 4 as the Alouette drive is going to continue here.
And he's getting up rather slowly. There was some question whether O'Leary would be playing tonight. He has had some rib problems. And he's going back to the huddle, seeming as though he might have hurt his leg on that particular carry.
He's limping on his right leg, Russ, going back to the huddle area. Probably run it out, however. He has trouble moving the upper torso on a sideways motion. He says it's not bad when he's going straight ahead.
Back to O'Leary again. He runs the middle for another first down. The gain is 13 yards. Doug McKinley finally tracked him down as they go exclusively with Green for one quarter, and now hit hard with John O'Leary.
A little reverse trap situation, and John Helton ran himself out of the play, and again, Leo Ezrins, that rookie middle linebacker, overran the play, and that's one thing you can't do in the middle. You have to keep that ball carrier in front of you if you're going to play in there and be effective. In that particular play, John went to the inside, Helton, and we see O'Leary now being helped out of the ball game, and he probably is having some problems, maybe with the ribs as well as that leg. But as that middle linebacker, you can't overrun the play, and that's been one of the problems.
O'Leary, as that rain really pelts down now here in Montreal.
Look
That's
at
17
that.
yards and 2 carries, and that tells you how hard it's falling.
Rain really won't stop the game too much, although it couldn't get much heavier than this before they stopped it. But I was talking to Harry Ross, the supervisor of officials for the Eastern Conference, and he said lightning is the thing that they do worry about. And if the Lightning gets too bad, he'll huddle with the 2 coaches of the respective teams and make a decision then.
Of course, the design of the stadium does protect many of the spectators, save those in the bottom few rows. Gaddis turned, and it was way over his head. Out of bounds, the coverage from Brad Wagner, number 20, right there with him. It's going to be second down Montreal from the 32-yard line of the Blue Bombers.
Well, Gaddis had Brad Wagner beat that time. The ball seemed to get away from Joe Barnes as he tried to throw it out to the sideline, but Gaddis has run 2 long patterns on Wagner. One he should have caught in the end zone but couldn't find the handle to it. This time he forced him deep and then ran the out pattern to the sideline, and Barnes just couldn't hit him, but he did have the first down and did have Wagner beat.
McMahon is playing O'Leary's spot on the backfield. Chuck McMahon, and Nick Araki has gone up to tight end where McMahon was playing in place of the injured Peter Della Riva. That keeps it straight for you. Well, he turned too late to see it. That was Chuck McMahon, incomplete. Oddly enough, the Bombers this year do not have a single pass interception, which is a little unusual as they're into the, well, almost the 3 1/4 mark now, the second quarter of their 4th game.
On that little pass to McMahon as he's walking off the field just shows that you can't just move into a position and connect. He moved in O'Leary's spot. He's been working out at tight end with Peter Della Riva being hurt, and therefore hasn't worked on all the plays this week in that particular position. And just that little bit of timing was off as Barnes tried to get it to him, and he was wide open.
It is going to be third down. Cue Don Sweet. He'll try with Titilio holding it for him from the 40-yard line. He's been good on that distance and better twice tonight. Wide this time. And a single point finally given up by Faison as he had trouble finding that football for just a moment. It makes it a 7-3 Montreal game as we play just 2.5 minutes here in quarter 2, and we'll be right back from Montreal. It is a wet night in Montreal, Quebec, and that's the score here in the second quarter. 2.5 minutes in. The Alouettes on top of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by 4 points. The Bombers will go from their 35-yard line. Big Billy Troop. It's Patterson near the first down marker, but about a yard short of it there as Dickie Harris made a sure first tackle on him.
Well, I'm sure Billy Troop isn't going to have too much problem throwing that ball in this rain. He's got a meat hook on him that's wrapped around that ball twice, it seems, at 6'5" and about 225 pounds. He just stands in there, and that time he got excellent protection and just fired that ball out to Patterson.
Ball gets a little bit.
220. He is a big man with big hands. Tom?
Ball does get a little bit heavy, though, doesn't it, Russ?
It gets a little bit heavy, but when you got hands like he's got and the Army's got, it doesn't matter.
Claws, yeah.
Straight ahead plunge, keep the drive going, collecting the Bomber first down, a gain of about 1.5 yards to 2 yards for Billy Troop, who is rolling along 4 for 6 tonight, 29 yards in the passing department. And at 6'5", just falling forward was about enough to make sure of the first down with an extra yard.
I'm not going to touch that one.
He is a big man. Reminds you of Joe Cap. He's bigger than Cap, certainly. He doesn't run the way Cap used to.
That's right.
Cap would run through brick walls. Boy, the Alouettes read that beautifully. Jay Washington surrounded almost the moment he got the ball from Troop by Junior Ayew and Glenn Weir, the alert defensive end and tackle for the Alouettes. Here it is.
Well, Billy Troop just handing off to Washington, and just the defense collapsed in there and just hammered Jay Washington to the ground. Wally Buono coming in late down low, but Junior Ayew just collapsed right down that line and made the grab on him. Two veterans, Judges and Weir, 75 and 64. They like playing against a quarterback like Troop because they know where he is. They know he's in the pocket, and they don't have to chase him all over the place. They don't like that.
He's well contained. Second down and 11, but he's got a good arm. He'll use it right here if he gets a chance. Here comes Ayew. Hit him as he threw it. It is incomplete. Larry Washington had been the target. So it goes to 3rd down, 11, Blue Bombers.
There's a flag on the play, and the Bombers are probably going to get called for holding. Junior Ayew, who collapsed on that play prior to that, put excellent pressure.
Winnipeg number 42 declined.
It has been declined, the holding penalty against number 42 of the Blue Bombers. I think they meant 43, the center, John Bonk.
He's probably out there trying to help with Ayew putting great pressure on Bill Ellenbogen, the offensive tackle, and probably got called for tackling him.
Rain falling steadily here in the second quarter. They played almost 5 minutes. Montreal leads Winnipeg 7-3. A tough on Bernie Ruoff with the rain on the glasses here. Coming down to Harris. Slips one tackle, heads to the far side. And Reggie Pearson was not about to let him get away. Made sure by throwing him out of bounds across at the 29-yard line. That's where the Alouettes will be starting after a 35-yard punt.
Well, that's one of those frustrating things as a punt returner as you're running out to the sideline. You've got a guy like Reggie Pearson who's got probably more speed than you do, and there's no place to go. And he really put him down with some authority as he went out of bounds.
John O'Leary back in the ball game for Montreal alongside of David Green on the backfield. Joe Barnes calls the play. Out to Green. Gets some good lead blocking, and he gets cut down on a fine tackle from Brian Herosian. Coming back after a tragic accident of last spring that delayed him getting into training camp and joining this team, rounding into form right now. It is close to 10 yards.
Well, putting a lot of pressure on Dunk McKinley, number 55, who's that right outside linebacker from the University of Western Ontario, and Herosian, who's playing the inside safety over there, had to make a pretty good hit on Green to keep him from going further, but McKinley just doesn't seem to be able to contain that ball carrier, especially on those sweeps.
There's the measurement. It is a first down for Montreal, and the Expos and the Phillies are tied 1-1 in Philadelphia in the top of the 4th inning. Montreal Expos won, the Phillies won in the 4th. Last score from Toronto was the Blue Jays 2 and the Kansas City Royals 2. Other CFL action coming up later on tonight. Edmonton and BC, a battle of the CFL's only unbeaten teams out in Vancouver. Barnes, a good fake, rolls, hangs onto it, slipped there at the 45-yard line. Might have had enough for the first down. As it is, he's got about 8 yards. Bob Toogood tagged him as he went down. Coming up tomorrow in the CFL, Hamilton against the Argos in Toronto and Ottawa against Calgary. A big interlocking game out there at McMahon Stadium.
Don, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to have to find some way of stopping those end sweeps with Barnes carrying, rolling out, and Green taking the pitch out around there because they're just eating up a lot of yards and are going to be very effective throughout the evening.
Bob Gaddis, wide receiver left. Jerry DiTilio splits right. David Green shops for and has acquired a first down up around the 50-yard line.
It's going to be interesting to watch this man in his career, number 79, Nick Araki. He's from Montreal. Played tight end, as a matter of fact, with Bishop's University for his college days. And they wanted to bring him on a little bit slower than is happening, but of course they've had to press him into service because of the injury to Dallareva. Reminds you a little bit of Dallareva. He's a tree tall. Good heavens, he's about 6'6", and appropriate weight to go along with that. He's going to be a good one.
First down, the Montreal 50. Barnes for Gaddis, he got a bound. Larry Smith was wide open, but he went outside on the sideline in the area of Bob Gaddis.
Well, the last 3 passes that Barnes has thrown out there, the receivers have been open, but he just hasn't been able to connect. And you start to wonder whether Joe Barnes is having a problem with that wet ball out there because it is raining and still raining. And if he is having a problem, this could help the Winnipeg defense because they sure haven't been covering the receivers very closely.
The first downs tonight, Russ, match the score. 7 for Montreal and 3 for Winnipeg right now as we're near the midway point of this, the second quarter at the Olympic Stadium here in Montreal. Gaddis left this time to DiTilio right. Swung it out too far for David Green, way over his head as Barnes threw quickly. It's going to 3rd down and 10.
Well, one of the problems both these offensive teams have had this year is scoring touchdowns. We mentioned it earlier, and the Alouettes have only been able to score 3 touchdowns in 4 games, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3 touchdowns in their 3 ball games they've played this far in the regular season. But Barnes seems to be having some problem with that wet ball.
Hey, how's Jerry DiTilio doing? Hard to tell down here. Is he all right?
Well, he caught one pass, Tom, and certainly seems to be doing the job out there as a wide receiver. And they'll get some blocking from him. He may not have the speed that some wide receivers have, but he'll knock people down.
Art Darch, our spotter, says you should change his name from DiTilio to Utility.
That's what he is.
Sure is.
He does it well.
1-0 to Holmes. Larry Smith with a tackle back on the 31-yard line. That's where the Bombers will start out when play resumes in just a moment. Montreal leads at 7-3. Back with you with just under 7 minutes remaining in Montreal, the second quarter. Don Chevrier, Russ Jackson, and Tom McKee. Hope you're enjoying the Alouettes of the Blue Bombers, as everybody here is trying to stay dry, including Ralph Brock, Dieter Brock, he wants to be known as. Warming up in relief, perhaps, of Billy Troop, the Winnipeg starter. Troop still at the helm as the Bombers go from the 33-yard line.
Maybe Brock's drying out or drying up or something.
Pasaglia made that catch, his first tonight. That is Walt Pasaglia, brother of the BC Lions. Louis Pasaglia, 3rd-round draft choice this year by Winnipeg, collecting about 4 yards. It's going to be 2nd down, along 6 to go, Blue Bombers.
It's interesting as the next quarterback to watch the effects of these 2 quarterbacks. Billy Troop, number 6, not seeming to have any problem with the wet ball as he just fires it out here to Pasaglia right to the sideline, throwing the ball out there maybe 35 yards on the line. And Joe Barnes seeming to be affected by the wet weather.
Troop goes hard, but it's incomplete. Pasaglia again, the intended receiver. It goes to 3rd down and 6, Winnipeg. Toronto now the 7th inning. Toronto Blue Jays 2, Kansas City 2. That score is unchanged. The Expos and Phillies tied in their big game in Philadelphia 1-1 in the 4th inning at last report tonight.
Troop going off the field here with Bisaglia. Misconnected on that particular one. They complete the first one, but there is hope in the Winnipeg camp that Troop will have an effect, a positive effect on Dieter Brock. Brock has the tendency to be impatient and go for the quick one all the time. They're hoping that Troop's experience will wear off on him and he will become more patient with the offense.
Rene set to punt it away. 3rd down and 6. Hangs it high. It's a good kick. Coming down to Randy Rhino. Back inside his own 20-yard line. He gets cracked down pretty hard around the 23. So the Alouettes will be starting deep in just a moment or two.
The halftime show tonight, we'd like you to join us as we take a look at highlights of 4 games played these past 7 days in the Canadian Football League. Peter Dallariva, the injured Montreal Alouette, will also be with us in highlights with Russ Jackson. So join us, won't you?
Bernie Ruoff's 52-yard punt as Montreal starting out from their own 22.5-yard line. First down. Detilio and Gaddis both go right this time. O'Leary alongside David Green, back of Joe Barnes. Here's the pitch to Green. Not much field to work with, short side. They run him out up around the 24-yard line. The gain's going to be 1.5 yards.
Well, a good play by Mike Dupree, number 53, the rookie defensive end for this Winnipeg club, as they tried to run away from that double flank position to the weak side, but Dupree just not giving him any running room and running him out of bounds.
So we'll make it 2nd down and 8.5 yards to go as the Bombers huddle defensively. Alouettes come right back with the same basic formation, strength right. It'll be a Montreal first down, the 36-yard line. Vince Faison made the stop on him.
A little bit of pressure from the Winnipeg front this time. John Helton getting away from Smith and coming in here. Detilio had to pull it down as number 72 Leo Esmonds was on a blitz, but Detilio, who was out as the wide receiver on the right side, just came back over the middle, and Faison, who had him man-to-man, let him get away from him.
That's his 2nd catch tonight for 27 yards. Detilio is lacking great speed, perhaps, but has got those sure hands for Montreal.
That's a lot of hands there. Ball.
It is picked up by Green. He gets a gain out of it.
They've tried that a couple of times. The first time it went for about 10 yards, but they're throwing that ball backwards behind the line of scrimmage, and that's a free ball, and Green knew that. He was on it right away.
Too good on Helton right there in case he couldn't find it. He did. The gain is 3 yards. It is 2nd down and 7 to go. Montreal now. Their 39-yard line. We have 3 minutes and 35 seconds until halftime, and the Alouettes lead the Blue Bombers 7-3. John O'Leary. Ball comes free. It is recovered by Montreal. Ray Watron coming in, number 52, to fall on it after O'Leary was taken down hard by Dunk McKinley and lost the football. It belongs to the Alouettes, though, at the 49-yard line.
Well, a blitz situation by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Barnes did a great job at getting the ball out over top of the linebacker that had O'Leary. He knew the blitz was coming and had to dump it over top of the linebacker who had O'Leary, and O'Leary did a great job. You can see Helton putting real pressure on in the blitz situation, but the guy who went to sleep here was Brad Wagner, number 20. He could have picked up that ball there, and he just lay on the ground.
He might have been stunned momentarily. He didn't move for a second, did not react at all. This is David Green getting up to the 53-yard line. His advance is going to be 4. It's going to be 2nd down and 6. Montreal when play resumes with 2 minutes and 41 seconds left. There's the story. 7-3 Montreal, getting late in the 2nd quarter now. Approaching halftime. 2:41 left. The Alouettes are 2nd and 6 at their 53-yard line. O'Leary's open, and the ball was flagged down and nearly picked off by Leo Esmonds, the middle linebacker. And we acknowledge this greeting from the people here at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal tonight. Ross Jackson, there he is. I'd know him anywhere.
I've been called a lot of things.
First time it's been a Ross.
Especially when I played in Montreal.
Yeah, the others weren't so kind. It is 3rd down and 6 for Montreal. Razalowicz and Mike Holmes. Back for Winnipeg. It is Holmes, 20-yard line. He covers up just in time near the 24. So Winnipeg will have a drive going here. Well, Tom Cousineau, it's a big change for him. He played the middle in college. He's an outside linebacker in Canada. What are the big differences for him?
It's been quite an adjustment for me. I have played a majority of my career in the middle. And the basic differences are the way that I see the play develop. In the middle, I'm playing both sides of the field and I'm attacking the play. On the outside, I more or less wait for the play to come to me, and I'm just on one side again. Pass reads are basically the same, although I have probably a little bit more man-to-man responsibility.
Tom Cousineau not involved in that play, as it was Jay Washington taken down by Wally Buono, the opposite side linebacker to him. Dieter Brock has come on to quarterback the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the gain is 6 yards. 7 yards, they'll be 2nd down and 3. Here he is.
Tom Cousineau playing on the outside, and the play went away from him, but trying to pursue out there and finding out that Alamang number 58 says, hey, you're not going to get there that easy, and he's hanging on to the shirt. He wants a little piece of that tearaway jersey.
Just drying his hands. Patterson, quick toss from Brock. It should be a Blue Bomber 1st down. The gain is 4 up near the 35-yard line. Tony Proudfoot and Tony Petruccio defending for Montreal with 1:54 until halftime.
Don, it's interesting to watch this Winnipeg offense going to hurry up offense now, but they look more like the Edmonton offense. They tend to throw that quick pass. You start to see Brock, instead of throwing the ball downfield, and certainly Troop, who likes to throw that way, look something like Wilkinson. Dump the 5 or 6 yarders. They nickel and dime you to death, but all of a sudden they're getting a lot of first downs.
Only a coincidence, I'm sure, that Ray Yawk used to direct the Eskimos.
Yes.
That is a strike to Holmes. Still on his feet, finally cut down. A hard shot from Junior Ayew as he was in full flight across field. That limits his gain to about 3. Make it 3 yards, yes.
Well, you start to wonder, Junior Ayew is playing one of his better ball games that we've seen him play. Maybe Tony Petruccio, another import defensive end in there, has put a little pressure on him. When Gabe Gregoire comes back, one of them is expendable.
Got a couple of good plays that I've caught, Petruccio. Here is the flare out to Jay Washington. Fighting across the 40-yard line. He'll be short of the 1st down in the grasp of Wally Buono, number 39. 1:31 left now in the 1st half. Bombers, as Russ said, trying to do it via the short passing route. The Alouettes reacting well defensively. It forces 3rd down and 3. Blue Bombers. Montreal has had some good drives. A couple that went through 6 plays, 1 through 7 plays. They have no touchdowns yet. None scored in the game. It is 7-3 Montreal. 2 hits and a miss by Don Sweet, and a field goal on his only try by Bernie Ruoff for Winnipeg. Ruoff, the punter, steps in now. He has it away in fine style. It is deep, coming down to Randy Rhino. Rhino getting up a full head of steam. Good coverage for the Bombers special team. John Bonk led the delegation down there, and that good high kick. They stop him after a 6-yard return. The punt, the best tonight by Ruoff, measured 54 yards with exactly a minute left now until halftime. Flag up.
And you know, the teams that are playing this Montreal club certainly practice their special teams with guys like Harris and Rhino. They can break them anytime, the same as Holmes for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Rhino and Harris have been very effective back there in returning punts for this Montreal club.
And there we have an injury for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jerry Inglis still injured on the first play of the game, the opening kickoff.
And John Bonk better stay healthy.
That's right. Inglis, the backup center. That side was closed off rather quickly. Bombers reacting well defensively. And the gain is going to be about a yard. 56 seconds until halftime.
Looks like the Montreal Alouettes are content to let the clock run out and run 2 running plays and punt that ball to this Winnipeg club.
Maybe not. Here's Gaddis stepping out of bounds, the 41.5-yard line with a first down. Wagner pushed him out, number 20. We have 34 seconds remaining. The gain was 16 yards.
Well, you say something and you're sure to be wrong, but you're surprised. I'm surprised that they went into a huddle if they were going to try and put some points on the board with just a little over 30 seconds remaining. Joe Scannella looking rather serious.
As always. He looks worse than that if you ask him why Jerry DiTilio is no longer a quarterback. Doesn't like to be asked that question. Barnes going long for Gaddis, and it's too far for him. Wagner again tracking back with Gaddis. Gaddis had him beaten, but the ball was off target. Wagner has given Winnipeg some pretty good coverage back there tonight. He had a tryout with the Pittsburgh Steelers, came from Kansas State. Led the defensive backs there in total tackles in 1977.
Well, he's replaced Merv Walker, who played that cornerback spot, the Canadian defensive back for so many years. Merv going over to Calgary and playing an inside defensive spot for Jack Gaddis' team over there.
28 seconds left until the half now. It is 2nd and 10, the 41.5-yard line of Montreal. Flag is thrown as David Green's draw does not get very far, maybe a yard advance.
Well, it was a blitz situation, Don, for that Winnipeg team. They decided they were coming on that time, and they got a little anxious, and I'm sure they were the ones that were offside, and Alouettes will get a 2nd and 5 situation.
Time down to 24 seconds now as the officials sort the penalty out and head in the direction of the Winnipeg goal line
Offside,
with the ball.
Winnipeg, 2nd down.
Outside call takes it up to the 47. Where it is 2nd and 5. Barnes under pressure, has it away, it is no good. Larry Smith tried to bring it in. Good tight coverage from Brian Herosian and Reggie Pearson on him. And now we're down to the final 19 seconds. At halftime, stay with us for highlights of some pretty exciting football games the last week or so. Calgary and Edmonton, Saskatchewan and BC, Toronto and Ottawa, Montreal and Hamilton. And highlights, of course, of the first half of this game, all coming up at halftime tonight. Later on, Edmonton plays BC, and tomorrow Hamilton is in Toronto. Hamilton without Bob Shaw, their general manager, who resigned suddenly this afternoon. Ralph Sazio says he'll be the general manager the rest of 1979. And Ottawa will be in Calgary also tomorrow night. Wano takes his time getting it away. Down to Holmes, the Bomber 15-yard line. Out of bounds finally, leaving only 4 seconds of playing time at the 32-yard line, pushed out by Nick Araki.
You know, he's going to the wide side of the field all the time. He just tries to outrun everybody, and it's rather dangerous. So far tonight, he's got around that corner each time, but if he doesn't, he's going to lose some yards for this Winnipeg team on those punt returns.
It's a 48-yarder by Buono and a 16-yard run back by Holmes, who's so impressive with his speed in that department. Leaves us now with maybe one play. And it'll either be ground the ball and wait for the second half or have one shot at it for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let's see what it's going to be.
And if there's one guy in this league that can throw it the length of the field, he's the guy playing quarterback right now for this Winnipeg club.
Peter Brock, he likes to throw long. Here come the Alouettes, much too early. They're offside. Handoff goes to Washington. There are 3 penalty markers down in all as Washington, Jay, got up to the 45-yard line. Time has run out. Legal procedure is the first call against Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, decline.
So the penalty declined, as Blair Shallow, the referee, told you. That ends the first half with the Alouettes on top by 4, 7-3 over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Right now, let's go down to Tom McKee.
And as previously advertised, here's Peter Dallariva with us. Rather be playing football tonight, I'm sure, although not enduring the pain. What is the injury exactly?
Tom, my own player fell on my ankle that first ball game we played in Toronto, and we thought it was going to come around, and it just kept them aggravating it every time we played. The last two previous games that we just played, I kept aggravating it all the time, so he figured it's best to sit me out and give it a week's rest, just not do anything on it at all, and try to, we have a 2-week layover after this game, and try to go back and work out with the team again after giving it a good rest.
I tell you, that Iraqi's not a bad football player. Going to be great, isn't he?
I think he's going to be real good, Tom. He's got terrific size, and he moves real good for a big man. He's about 6'7", 240. He's going to be good.
How come no touchdowns here?
Tom, I don't know. We've been having our problems the last few ball games, scoring touchdowns, and same tonight. We started off pretty well. We're trying to get our backs out in the patterns because they like to play man-to-man and get the linebackers to cover the backs and try to have crossing patterns to confuse them, which have worked pretty well. And every time we line up a certain formation, try to catch them on it, they're getting away from it. Now they're zoning us.
Well, Peter, I hope they get on track in the second half. Both clubs get a little more offense going here. Peter Dallariva will be back with us at the end of the game, and we'll be back with highlights in just a moment. Another sellout crowd at Commonwealth Stadium for the All-Alberta meeting between the Eskimos and the Calgary Stampeders. Who else but Dave Cutler had kicked Edmonton to a 3-0 lead when defensive back Greg Butler gave the defending Grey Cup champions good field position. He runs the punt back 48 yards. And it's the kicker himself, Mike McTagg, who made the tackle. Piling on is charged against Calgary as well. The Eskimos pick away, now 3rd and goal. Tom Wilkinson at quarterback throws his 4th touchdown pass of the season, all of them to Jim Germany. That big punt return paid off. Edmonton leads 10-0. Watch out now for Edmonton cornerback Joe Holloman on this play. Last year, he led the league in interceptions with 8. This Johnson pass intended for Vickers as Holloman makes his 2nd interception of this season and also his longest return at 25 yards. That set up another field goal, 13-0 Edmonton. Still in the second quarter. The Stampeders get rolling here as Johnson is good to Sykes. They gain 19 yards, but the offense fizzles, and all they get out of it is 3 points on a 43-yard field goal, the longest of 5 this year by J.T. Hay. Back to Edmonton. The action now as Wilkinson goes to the air again. This time it's good to Waddell Smith. Edmonton knocking on the door at the Calgary 18. That door was open just 3 plays later. Watch as Wilkinson hands off to Germany. There it is, touchdown. And at halftime, the Eskimos lead the Stampeders 20-3. Edmonton added another 4 points as Warren Moon is at quarterback and fires this touchdown pass half the length of the field. And now Edmonton really rubbing it in. 31-3 in the last period. And still the Albertans from the north keep up their slaughter. Moon to Smith again. This time it's 59 yards, the longest of the season for Smith. He's averaging 25.8 yards per catch. And all this after Calgary coughed up the ball on downs. It was one of those games the Stamps would just as soon forget all about. But Warren Moon won't let them. Here he goes again. A 28-yard touchdown pass to Brian Kelly. And a great catch, as you'll see right here. 4 touchdowns now for Kelly. That's tops in the West. The only ray of light for Calgary came after Edmonton tried to run out the clock. That didn't work, and Tom Forzani scored in the last play of the game. The bitter and the sweet, Edmonton over 300 yards passing, Calgary only 23 yards rushing. Empire Stadium. A relatively small crowd watches as Tom Clements tries to play Moses for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but his pass is intercepted by Ken Hinton. He returns it to the Rider 21, setting up a field goal added to an earlier single. Clements gets another chance here, and this time it works. 49 yards to Freeman Johns, the wide receiver. That makes it a 7-all ball game. Not all went well in the Lions' backfield. Taggy to Taylor. Where's the handle here? Turnover, but the Riders couldn't capitalize and had to settle for a field goal. But they are in the lead as Louis Pasaglia hits from 47 yards out. The Lions trail by only a single point. And they start licking their chops right here and move the ball 56 yards before they were eventually brought to a rude halt on the Saskatchewan 13-yard line. Okay, what to do? Of course, call out the toe of Louis Pasaglia. He's been good for 3 field goals already and hits here for number 4 in the game, number 13 on the year. He added another before the game was over, as did McAreedy. And BC was leading 17-15 when Larry Key finished it off with this scoring play. Coming up, highlights of the Toronto at Ottawa and Montreal Hamilton games. Last Tuesday, the Argonauts thunder into Ottawa in more ways than one. They won the football game for sure, but a bigger loss for Ottawa was Conrad Holloway. Separated rib cartilage right there for the number 1 quarterback. First period, Ottawa leads 3-0. Toronto's Tony Adams passes to the Muhammad Ali of the CFL, Mike MacArthur, climaxing a drive that started on the Toronto 37-yard line. Second quarter now, and the injured Holloway is replaced by Jimmy Jones. And watch what happens here. He promptly throws the ball directly into the hands of Billy Hardy. Certainly not a very impressive debut for the former Montreal Hamilton quarterback. This resulted in an Ian Sutter field goal of all things. And at the half, Argos were in the lead 11-3. Moving to the last quarter, the double blue had added another 7 points when Tony Gabriel got the Riders back in the football game. Watch this spectacular catch right on the sidelines. 35 yards from Jones. Minutes later, those two team up again. This brought the Rough Riders to within 9 points of Toronto, but now they were fighting the clock as well as the Argos and the weather. Just seconds left, and Jimmy Jones uses most of them before finding Carleton's Peter Stenerson alone in the end zone. A classic example of too little, too late. And the Brancato boys take it on the chin, and it was a positive victory for the Argos. Tony Adams looking more confident, likewise for kicker Ian Sutter. Big trouble in Hamilton today. General Manager Bob Shaw resigns. President Ralph Sazio says that he'll run the show the rest of the way. Yes, the Cats have had their tails twisted too often this year. In fact, it was Dickie Harris who did it here last Wednesday, intercepting the Marler pass. After 4 running plays, Don Sweet hit for the second field goal. 6-1 for the Owls. Tiger Cat tacklers look like Pussycats right here in this early play of the second quarter. Harris gets the punt and bounces around for 31 yards. A misconduct penalty added to this return, giving Montreal the ball on the Hamilton 41. Fine return, even picked up his own fumble for Harris as it sets up the first touchdown score of the game. Here it comes, Barnes to Chuck McMahon. And only 3:40 gone in the second quarter at this point. Later in the same period, Joe Barnes finds Nick Iraqi, a Canadian. This time the gain is 20 yards as the Alouettes start to close in on the Cats in their own backyard. They give Al's even better field position when Barnes passes to John O'Leary to move the ball to the 7-yard line. He's been hurt before running the ball, but that doesn't bother Barnes apparently, as he carries it himself untouched, we might add. Now the Cats were behind the 8 ball, and to add to their woes, rain started to fall and the fans started to boo. Trailing 21-1, Hamilton got one of those back in a single, then Marler threw to Rowland for 23 yards, and here to Harrison for 24 yards. And that gave them some measure of respectability. Time had run out, but a penalty to Montreal gave Marler a chance for one last play. He made good on a 12-yard pass to Lee Patterson. The Cats finally had a major score, but it really didn't matter much. Owls win it 21-8.
And we'll return with Russ Jackson on the first half highlights right after this. Well, Montreal with a 7-3 first half lead. Russ certainly had the more sustained offense, albeit nobody got a touchdown. I thought early in the game they established the fact they were going to try to victimize this green Winnipeg set of linebackers.
Well, I think that was one of the situations they came out to do, and they went to a lot of ace backfield where they have one man in the backfield, David Green. By doing this, they put O'Leary up at the line of scrimmage and force a linebacker to cover him. On the first series of plays, O'Leary had Dunk McKinley covering him. He got tied up, number 55, with the official in the middle as he came over the middle, but good hustle by McKinley, tripped up number 30 O'Leary after a 46-yard gain. But it certainly shows that they're going to put pressure on when you put that extra halfback up at the line of scrimmage, because now you have 5 potential receivers going downfield. And on the next series of plays, when Winnipeg had the ball in a 2nd and 4 situation, this offense, looking more like Edmonton's offense, completes the pass to Gervais for the first down, but Jim Burrow wrestled the ball away from Gervais before he hit the ground and took this interception. It's almost like a steal from Gervais in, and this set up Sweet's second field goal, that play by O'Leary being the one that set up the first field goal.
Well, the Bombers really didn't get into it as well as they'd like to. They had a couple of promising drives that fizzled out. Right here they are trying to contain Joe Barnes once again.
Well, Joe Barnes in a blitz situation with Helton, number 99, putting the pressure on, did an excellent job of hitting O'Leary again over the defensive end who was trying to cover him. Actually, it was Dunk McKinley again who made a great hit, and Watron recovered the fumble to keep Montreal in possession.
Wagner appeared stunned. He didn't go for the ball. We'll be back with the second half for you in just a moment. Well, there has to be frustration both ways as these teams emerge from their dressing rooms for the second half. Frustration on Montreal's part in that they controlled the game well enough but did not score very many points. Total offense net of 190 to 95 for Winnipeg. Frustration by the Bombers. They simply couldn't get sustained drives going. 10 first downs to 5 for Montreal. Number of plays, 37 to 28, and right down the line, favoring the Montreal Alouettes in that first half, and yet it's a 7-3 ball game fashioned on 2 field goals and a single against a field goal for the Bombers.
And Don, one of the things this Winnipeg club is going to have to do in this second half is get a little more pressure on Joe Barnes. They actually were fortunate, I believe, in that first half that the rains came, because Joe had problems throwing the ball when it was raining quite heavily out here. But when it was dry, when the rain let up, he got back into gear there, and he was finding receivers wide open. And part of that was the fact that when he rolled out or went straight drop back, there was very little pressure from that front four of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
There's the indication. The Bombers will kick. The Alouettes will receive to launch the second half of the CFL game tonight. There's Brock still throwing hard on the sidelines. Billy Troop, as you saw, was the Bomber starter. Brock came on, and it looks as though we're going to see more of Brock as the second half goes along, and certainly more of this man, Joe Barnes, in conversation now with his head coach, Joe Scannella.
Well, I'm sure Scannella has some words of wisdom for him, but in looking at this Winnipeg offense, Don, you have to look at Joe Poposky, who's been hurt, caught 75 passes for this team last year, and is going to be out for some time. A fluke injury where he was on the artificial turf, and we're not damning the artificial turf, but he got hurt on that when he made a cut out in the open and broke the 2 bones in his ankle. And he has to have meant a great deal to this team, and unfortunately he's being lost to them now for probably most of the season.
Injuries are a part of the tough start for the Winnipeg club in 1979, no question about that. Their offense is simply not produced for them right now. They have scored a total of 38 points, and they have given up 89 as of this moment, with an 0-3 record in the CFL West. Montreal 2-2, pending the outcome tonight. Wedged in a 3-way tie with Ottawa and Toronto. The Rough Riders to play the Stampeders tomorrow night. The Argos to play last place Hamilton tomorrow night. And to repeat once again, Bob Shaw, the Hamilton general manager, resigned today. Ralph Sazio will be the GM for the balance of 1979, and John Payne remains as head coach as the Argos prepare to meet Toronto tomorrow night. Bernie Ruoff will get it away here in the second half. O'Leary is back there with David Green and Bob Gaddis. It goes down to Bob Gaddis, and he gets upended around the 32-yard line by John McCorkindale, number 35 of the Bombers, after a 22-yard return. In Toronto, American League Baseball, bottom of the ninth, Toronto Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals still tied at 2. The last we had was Montreal 1, the Phillies 1 in Philadelphia tonight. Right here it is 7-3 Montreal. And the combination of Larry, you see here, and Jay Washington for the Bombers, unable to get on track to establish a solid running game so far tonight. Barnes at quarterback, first down, Montreal. Green can't find one opening, slithers through another, gets up over the 35-yard line. His gain is going to be about 6.
Well, Don, just looking at that first defensive setup for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've got Reggie Pearson and Brian Hirosian, the two inside safeties, almost up on that line of scrimmage, playing almost as second linebackers, and maybe they're going to try and put a little pressure on that outside running game by bringing those two safeties up very close to the line of scrimmage, but you can be burnt with the pass if you come up that tight.
Gaddis left, DeTilio right. A lot of room for Joe Barnes out there. He throws to a wide open receiver. Jerry DeTilio, his third catch this night, out of bounds near the 50-yard line with a first down.
Jerry DeTilio, Mr. Utility for this Montreal club, making his third catch of the evening and certainly doing a fine job. But again, the lack of pressure. You see number 32, Bob Toogood, going back into the defensive secondary. He's the outside linebacker on that side. And if he's not going to come in, then it puts extreme pressure on the defensive ends to try and contain a guy like Joe Barnes.
First down near the Montreal 50 for the Als. Little toss to David Green. He's got 5. He has got 8 yards. Cracked down by Brian Hirosian, number 30, at the Bomber 52. It'll be 2nd and 2 Alouettes, as they again look impressive coming out here with a consistent early series in the third quarter.
Well, if I was Joe Barnes, I'd just keep going around those ends. I'd roll out myself or get Green running around there, or the little dump like that, and just put the pressure on these Winnipeg linebackers and defensive ends until they change their defense.
Fake, Barnes keeps, collects the first down. As Hirosian again made the Winnipeg hit. The 48-yard line, Barnes gets 4, and the Montreal drive will continue. There's Brock still throwing hard on the sidelines. Billy Troop, as you saw, was the Bomber starter. Brock came on, and it looks as though we're going to see more of Brock as the second half goes along, and certainly more of this man, Joe Barnes, in conversation now with his head coach, Joe Scannella.
Well, I'm sure Scannella has some words of wisdom for him, but in looking at this Winnipeg offense, Don, you have to look at Joe Poposky, who's been hurt, caught 75 passes for this team last year, and is going to be out for some time. A fluke injury where he was on the artificial turf, and we're not damning the artificial turf, but he got hurt on that when he made a cut out in the open and broke the 2 bones in his ankle. And he has to have meant a great deal to this team, and unfortunately he's being lost to them now for probably most of the season.
Injuries are a part of the tough start for the Winnipeg club in 1979, no question about that. Their offense is simply not produced for them right now. They have scored a total of 38 points, and they have given up 89 as of this moment, with an 0-3 record in the CFL West. Montreal 2-2, pending the outcome tonight. Wedged in a 3-way tie with Ottawa and Toronto. The Rough Riders to play the Stampeders tomorrow night. The Argos to play last place Hamilton tomorrow night. And to repeat once again, Bob Shaw, the Hamilton general manager, resigned today. Ralph Sazio will be the GM for the balance of 1979, and John Payne remains as head coach as the Argos prepare to meet Toronto tomorrow night. Bernie Ruoff will get it away here in the second half. O'Leary is back there with David Green and Bob Gaddis. It goes down to Bob Gaddis, and he gets upended around the 32-yard line by John McCorkindale, number 35 of the Bombers, after a 22-yard return. In Toronto, American League Baseball, bottom of the 9th, Toronto Blue Jays, Kansas City Royals still tied at 2. The last we had was Montreal 1, the Phillies 1 in Philadelphia tonight. Right here it is 7-3 Montreal. And the combination of Larry, you see here, and Jay Washington for the Bombers, unable to get on track to establish a solid running game so far tonight. Barnes at quarterback, first down Montreal. Green can't find one opening, slithers through another, gets up over the 35-yard line. His gain is going to be about 6.
Well, Don, just looking at that first defensive setup for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've got Reggie Pearson and Brian Hirosian, the two inside safeties, almost up on that line of scrimmage, playing almost as second linebackers, and maybe they're going to try and put a little pressure on that outside running game by bringing those two safeties up very close to the line of scrimmage, but you can be burnt with the pass if you come up that tight.
Giannis left, DeTilio right. A lot of room for Joe Barnes out there. He throws to a wide open receiver. Jerry DeTilio, his third catch this night, out of bounds near the 50-yard line with a first down.
Jerry DeTilio, Mr. Utility for this Montreal club, making his third catch of the evening and certainly doing a fine job. But again, the lack of pressure. You see number 32, Bob Toogood, going back into the defensive secondary. He's the outside linebacker on that side. And if he's not going to come in, then it puts extreme pressure on the defensive ends to try and contain a guy like Joe Barnes.
First down near the Montreal 50 for the Owls. Little toss to David Green. He's got 5. He has got 8 yards. Cracked down by Brian Hirosian, number 30, at the Bomber 52. It'll be 2nd and 2 Alouettes as they again look impressive coming out here with a consistent early series in the third quarter.
Well, if I was Joe Barnes, I'd just keep going around those ends. I'd roll out myself or get Green running around there, or the little dump like that, and just put the pressure on these Winnipeg linebackers and defensive ends until they change their defense.
Fake, Barnes keeps, collects the first down. As Hirosian again made the Winnipeg hit. The 48-yard line, Barnes gets 4, and the Montreal drive will continue. All the scoring via the toe tonight. Handled by 2 people, Sweet and Ruoff. 7 points for Sweet, 3 for Bernie Ruoff. Montreal leads Winnipeg.
Ross Alouettes is the deepest man for Winnipeg, that last defensive lineman. He was 6 yards back from the line of scrimmage.
Well, on those running situations, Tom, they're going to be up there pretty tight, I think, to try and give some help to that defensive line and linebacker situation.
Barnes with his fake, his throw, and it is picked off by Reggie Pearson, the Bombers' first pass interception of 1979. And a timely interception it is to break up the drive of the Alouettes and win the ball for the Bombers. They'll go from the 36-yard line.
Well, Joe Barnes continued to try and get to the outside here. A little fake to David Green, but this time you'll notice who's in there. Number 32, the guy we talked about before, the outside linebacker, Bob Toogood. He put the pressure on, and you have to do that if you're going to put the pressure on a guy like Joe Barnes. The other play, when he had the pass completion to DeTilio, he was back in the secondary.
There's Pearson who made the pickoff. So the Bombers go. Brock out to Holmes. And the veteran, Mickey Harris, will not let go of him. Holmes faded back, tried to fake him and get away with his speed. But Harris wasn't buying it. The advance is going to be about 5 yards. Halfway to a first down are the Bombers here with 3.5 minutes gone in the third quarter, and Montreal still leading 7-3. Holmes and Gervais go left. Patterson to Saglia on the right side. Flag is thrown. That is short of the first down, the 45-yard line for Jay Washington. It's going to be third down, about 1.5 yards, Blue Bombers. And play resumes here in just a moment from Montreal. Eager Tony Petruccio, the rookie at defensive end for Montreal, was offside. A 5-yard walk against the Owls. The Bombers have second down and just a foot to go across the 46-yard line. Brock will throw on second and short. Good coverage for Montreal back there. Harris almost made an over-the-shoulder catch, but the pass goes incomplete. Goes to third down and a foot, Bombers.
Well, I think the Montreal defense was certainly looking for that in the second and short situation. Brock tried to go for the whole thing, and that's a good time to go for it. He's close to midfield, and they'll probably gamble now on third and short for that first down, but good deep coverage by the three defensive back, Burrow, Rhino, and Proudfoot, all back there, and really knocked each other off the ball rather than the Winnipeg players having a chance to do it.
Bombers sent the one deep receiver. It was 3-on-1 and really no contest back there. All right, here is Winnipeg now with a third down gamble to try to keep this drive alive. And it should be good as Brock goes straight ahead near the 41.5-yard line.
Didn't think there's much doubt about making this.
Wasn't very far to go.
No.
Well, you don't have to be 6'5" to make that either, do you?
No.
You're asking for a measure.
If you're 1.5 feet tall and ball forward, it's good enough.
Don, it's important here for that center and guard to wedge in there and not let anybody in the middle as far as the defensive line penetrate. And Bunk did a good job of getting off the ball low with his head down, submarining in there so that no defensive player can do that. That allows Brock just to lean in there and make that 1 yard. It looks easy, but it could be mighty difficult if those two guards in that center don't get off the ball.
There's no room.
And they're bigger than you usually.
That's right. There's Brock's story, 4 for 5. In relief of starter Billy Troop. Flares it out. Holmes taken down, and a good first tackle by Bobby Hosea. Number 32, who's going to appear in a commercial. He's an actor, as a matter of fact. And he's got himself a couple of television commercials coming out here in Canada later in the year. The advance leaves it 2nd down and 4 for the Blue Bombers. Moving better now in this third quarter from the 53-yard line.
Again, more and more, Don, it looks like Edmonton out there with those little slant ins, hitting those slot backs. Whatever they give you, you take, but you keep that ball moving.
And, of course, the occasional bomb, which Brock loves to throw.
Definitely.
Pops it out to Gervais, and he is ridden down with a first down by Jim Burrow, number 16, across the 50-yard line.
Nothing fancy, but very effective.
Very methodical. Grind it out. Short passing your way downfield.
Well, just a little crossing pattern with Holmes and Gervais to the left side. Holmes will run the slant in. Gervais will go underneath to the outside. Makes a clean reception and turns it upfield quickly to make sure he gets that first down. With number 16, Jim Burrow, putting the final stop on him.
Jay Washington made his move to the outside. The Alouette defenders were there with him, and Randy Rhino hauls him down. The gain is about 4 yards.
Don, Jay Washington has to be a success story. He's had 5 years. He's in his 5th year with this Winnipeg club, and he's got a 5+ yards per carry average going for him. And he came to this club from Clemson University, and he never started the game with Clemson. Came up to Winnipeg and has just been an outstanding ball carrier. He's had 3 1,000-yard seasons.
This is just the second time tonight the Bombers have held the ball for more than 5 plays. They're now going to their 9th play of this series, and they've all been short but effective. Right now, from the 44-yard line. Brock goes longer. It is Holmes open with the catch. 30-yard line. Down he goes. First down, Winnipeg. Mickey Harris again made sure of the tackle, because if he hadn't, that speed of Holmes might have taken him in.
Well, Mike Holmes, number 70, is the outside receiver. Brock is looking to the left originally, but comes back to Holmes, who went down about 10 yards, came underneath, and as Don said, if he gets away, he's going to hurt you, because he has the great speed that if you don't make the sure tackles, he's going to beat you. And that was Brock's seventh completion in 8 attempts.
Holmes is 4.5 in the 40. Flag is down. Larry Washington is hammered down around the 28-yard line. So while they sort out the penalty situation, we'll remind you it's a 7-3 game. Montreal leading. Montreal called for offside. It was Tony Petruccio, the offender. Bombers go first down from the 26-yard line. And one of their deepest penetrations this night. 1st and 5. Patterson. The Montreal 15-yard line. And that is going to be another Winnipeg first down. Glenn Weir and Wally Buono containing Gord Patterson.
Don, this is great offensive football to see this because Brock is now using everybody. This time Patterson lined up as the slot back on the left side. He just took about 2 steps back. Patterson just running between the two people there. Number 16 Burrow, number 21 Rhino gets the pass and does some pretty fancy footwork to tack on another 6 or 7 yards.
From the 15, Brock to Larry Washington. Slips one. And gets across for about a 3-yard gain down in the area of the 12-yard line before going out of bounds. We have 6 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the third quarter. Winnipeg pressing for the go-ahead points here. They'll be 2nd down and 7 from the 12.
Well, I'm sure for either of these teams, putting the ball in the end zone for 6 points is going to be very important for them. It's been tough coming this year, and every time they can do that, it's going to give their offensive units a lot more confidence.
The Bombers certainly appear to have confidence now, so sadly lacking in the first half, and they simply could not move the ball. Brock's got something going, rolling, throwing. It is knocked away at the goal line by number 45, Tom Cousineau, the linebacker, coming over with good speed with a fine defensive reaction. Well, he earned some of that big money right there, Russ.
Well, that was just an excellent defensive play. Brock rolling to the right. Both Washingtons coming to the right to supply some blocking. You see the lineman turn to the inside just to pick anything coming up here. There was some pretty good pressure here, but Brock got that ball away, and Cousineau leaves his feet here to just knock it away from Holmes. That ball was going through there, and Holmes had it in his hands as Cousineau came through the air. Just a great defensive play.
Cousineau denies the touchdown. It's now the field goal try for Bernie Ruoff. Angle left, 20 yards away.
And watch the fake with Brock in there. You never know.
No, they'll kick, and it's good. Ruoff brings the Bombers to within a point of the Alouettes as their drive finally stalls at the 12-yard line. His second field goal of the night. They went 10 plays, 7 passing, 3 rushing. Couple of penalties for Montreal, a 62-yard drive to get 3, and they now trail 7-6.
And a good drive, Don. That has to give them confidence. I'm sure 6 points would have been even better, but certainly having moved that ball has got to give them a lot of confidence. From the end zone, you can play linebacker with Cousineau, number 45 at the top of the screen. You watch the quickness now as he gets to that ball, just gets the left hand out there. As number 7, he thought that ball was in his pocket.
No question. Cousineau saved a touchdown right there. From the 35, the Alouettes are first down. David Green, not much opening there on the right side. The ball comes free. It'll go to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. John Helton, number 99. A turnover for the Bombers. And a big one right there.
The one thing this Winnipeg club had to stop in this offense was Barnes rolling and the sweeps of David Green. This time they got David Green turned to the inside. Again, Bob Toogood, number 32, did a good job of pressuring it inside. Green coughed the ball up, and lo and behold, we got the ball back, and Winnipeg's in great position.
And if you think the Montreal defense was happy about having to go back out on the field, well, I can tell you they weren't happy at all. They had a tough time with Winnipeg. They had the ball for a long time. They got it right back now.
They were up there a long while. They're back again. It is first down. Bombers. Brock with time. Throws long into the end zone. No good. The speed of Holmes countered by the experience of Rhino and Harris defending. And it'll be 2nd and 10. John Helton made this drive possible with his fumble recovery.
Well, Holmes in isolation. Sorry, Don. Holmes in isolation going down that left side, just trying to beat them deep. Brock trying to go for the big one. He runs by number 16, Burrow, and number 32, Bobby Hosea, had him all alone, and he had a shot at this ball here and could have caught it.
He sure did. Larry Washington, the 30-yard line, the Montreal 10. Look out, flag thrown, he's gone. There is a penalty marker thrown. It could be against the Bombers. to bring this touchdown back.
Well, I don't know whether it's going to be against the Bombers or against Dickie Harris, because it seemed like somebody's tried to trip somebody, and I'm not sure who it was. It might have been Pasaglia on Harris or Harris on a ball carrier. I'm not sure.
It is holding against Winnipeg. Pasaglia appeared to be in the area. It is no touchdown.
They might have been holding on Cousineau there, were they?
Hard to tell, Tom.
Yeah, I know he was stopped there momentarily where they had a hold of him or not. Couldn't see from this angle.
Well, Bombers had the first down, before the penalty. Blair Shallow and his crew will straighten this out.
Winnipeg, number 24, first down.
It is against Pasaglia for holding. It is the first down picked up before the penalty from the 32-yard line. A tough break there for the Bombers. He didn't need that hold, I'll tell you. He was gone. He was 15 yards ahead of where the infraction took place.
Well, just a good screen set up here by Brock. He's been picking him to death, and there was only one Montreal player out there in the immediate area. Number 58, Marv Alamang, got on Cousineau, did a good job, and there might have been a little holding there as he turned him around, but Alamang did a good job on Cousineau, not allowing him to get close to Washington.
Holmes turns almost too late. The Alouettes charge up. Bobby Hosea and Jim Burrow taking a shot at the interception and just missing it. So it is second down. Still 10, the 32-yard line.
Now Cousineau coming out of the ball game now. Holmes going on the outside here, and they're trying to hit that quick out again, and Burrow makes a good play there, almost tips it to Hosea, number 32.
Larry Utek in there for Cousineau.
Over the middle, that is ruled no catch for Gord Patterson. Coverage again from Jim Burrow to knock it away. Goes to third down, 10 Bombers, the 32-yard line.
But again, good pressure by Junior Ayu, and Glenn Weir forced Brock to throw that ball a little sooner than he wanted to.
The Alouettes had 6 deep backs working there, expecting the Winnipeg passing game, which they got. They took out Cousineau and put in Larry Utek as the 6th defensive back. Brock has thrown 14 times out of 18 plays from scrimmage. He will now be holding for Bernie Ruoff from the 39-yard line, hash marks right. A chip shot. It is wide and short. There'll be a single point given up right there by number 21, Dickie Harris. As we've got some rough stuff around the 5-yard line, the players now being separated down there. It was Randy Rhino, actually, who gave up the single point, not Dickie Harris, and it makes it a tie at 7-7. The Bombers chipping away from that 4-point deficit at halftime to come back and tie it here. In fact, on the play, Russ, they should be ahead. That penalty denied them that opportunity.
Well, Brock has sort of ignited that offense, and that has to help your defense, because when you can stay out there for 8 or 9 plays offensively, it gives your defense a rest, and when they come in, they're ready to play football.
Alouettes from the 35. Barnes will step out with a first down. He crossed the marker at the 45-yard line. So the Alouettes have a good first play. We'll be back in just a moment from Montreal. Well, if you think back to the first play of the game, Jerry Inglis, the backup center for the Bombers, was injured. Thought he might be back. As you can see, he's not coming back, on crutches now. First down, the 45-yard line. John O'Leary slants right. He has got himself almost 10 yards. He may have another first down. Ezrin's brought him down. Winnipeg's middle linebacker. And David Green, leading the advance on the blocking for John O'Leary, is still down. While they attend to him, we'll give you a final baseball score from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. The Toronto Blue Jays have defeated the Kansas City Royals by a score of 3-2 tonight.
That's the way to do it.
O'Leary has now 3 carries for 27 yards, and here is a big one.
Well, O'Leary does a good job here. Number 32, Too Good, gets a good shot at him there, and he was upset with himself after for not hanging on, because he had him at the line of scrimmage, and instead of stopping him for maybe 2 yards, He's gone down for almost a 10-yard gain, and David Green, being helped to his feet, was leading that blocking there. But good offensive surge by the right side of that Montreal offensive line, led by Pat Bonnet, number 50, and Doug Payton, 61.
Green looked like he was caught in a human landslide as the bodies were falling at the completion of that play, trying to walk off an injury now.
And he'll be back.
With the gain, O'Leary is just inches away from the first down. And having a close look is the big bird with the big glasses.
He may replace Art Darch as our spotter with those glasses.
Well, there's a certain similarity if you look closely. Chuck McMahon will play for David Green. Throws a block there as the play goes straight ahead. And it appears as though the Alouettes have collected their first down. Joe Barnes keeping it at the 54-yard line of Winnipeg. Well, the Alouettes have carved out a couple of first downs in this series, taking it 21 yards upfield. It is 7-7, 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. John O'Leary, a quick burst again, takes it down to about the 47. The gain is roughly 7 yards. Helton made the stop. Here's Tom.
Well, down here, Dave Green changing shoe down there on his left foot. I don't think that's. Oh, I see. He's getting a bit of added elastic support for his left knee. I think he just twisted it slightly out there. Doesn't seem to be any worse than just a twist, Dave, huh? No, he says that's about all it is. He'll be right back.
2nd and 3. McMahon still in there for him. O'Leary's open. He's got it. Out of bounds at the Bomber 36-yard line is John O'Leary. Well, that bird isn't dancing about the Expos tonight. They trail the Phillies 4-1, Russ.
Well, what Joe Barnes is doing, he's putting both wide receivers out to one side, in this particular case to the left side, and then he's running John O'Leary out of the backfield to the short side of the field, to the weak side of the defense. It's the play that he tried to throw to McMahon in the rain when O'Leary was hurt and didn't complete it. This time O'Leary was wide open and made a big first down for them.
Green back in the ball game, by the way.
Now McMahon is in for John O'Leary. He's gone out. First down, the 36. McMahon wrapped up early after a 1-yard gain. There's O'Leary getting some adjustment to his equipment down there. That Montreal-Philadelphia scores 4-1 Phillies in the top of the 8th inning tonight for you baseball fans.
John O'Leary just broke the laces broke the laces on his shoulder pads in the front.
I'm sure he's not trying to get a suntan out there.
No. He's pretty well taped up too.
I bet he is.
Bonds to a wide open McMahon. Wide screen, strips one tackle. 20-yard line and stumbles at the 17. Ran into Brad Wagner, who took him down.
Wow, just an excellent call by Joe Barnes. 2nd and 10 situation. Winnipeg expecting the pass. Doug McKinley, the linebacker, is well back off the line of scrimmage. Dumps the screen pass out to 33, and here he comes now. Does a good job of beating Brad Wagner, or Hirosian, and then finally Wagner does make the stop on him, but a big first down, a good call by Joe Barnes.
Montreal first down. David Green. The 5, touchdown Montreal. And this crowd of 41,242 comes alive as the Alouettes finally score.
Well, a little semi-rollout to the right and a drop play, almost a delayed play up the middle, and Green did an excellent job of maintaining his balance as he ran into the defensive player. Brad Wagner, number 20, tries to make the final hit on him. We'll see it again from on top here, but a good job right here as he runs into Bob Toogood, number 32. Stays on his feet and just outruns Brad Wagner into that corner, and that's the Alouettes' 4th touchdown during regular season this year.
A 75-yard drive capped by David Green. There is the point after by Don Sweet. Montreal as the measure of a converted touchdown for a lead at 14-7. Final play of the third quarter. The score: Montreal 14, Winnipeg 7. There are the stats on the Montreal drive to put them in front 14-7 as Sweet kicks off. Coming down to Faison to the 5-yard line for the Bombers. The 25. Still going across the 35 to the 36-yard line, where the tackle is made by Larry Utek.
Well, we'll take one more look at this touchdown run, and Smith does a good job of staying on his feet and staying with the linebacker, number 55, and by doing that, he turned him downfield, and when he reversed out of the block, he had no chance of chasing number 26 Green to the goal line. Smith's been doing some excellent blocking for many years for this club, and just stays on his feet and just bulldogs you out there.
He only gets noticed when he catches some passes, which he does from time to time in key situations, but he is a fine blocker. Here is the reverse. The speedster Holmes will test the right side and gets cut down. A loss on the play by number 18, Dickie Harris, with a key tackle for Montreal. These Alouettes, the defenders, fired up now after their 75-yard touchdown drive that gave the defense a breather, making a big play right there. It's going to be 2nd down and 13. Blue Bombers now at the 33-yard line.
And again, Cousineau coming out on a 2nd and 13 situation, and Larry Utek going in as that 5th defense or 6th defensive back.
They expect the pass. Will likely get it right here on 2nd and 13. Over the middle, it is batted away. A penalty marker is down. Larry Utek reaching over. Gordy Patterson. And it's going to be ruled a catch on the interference call against Utek, evidently, at the 41-yard line.
And one of those penalties that really wasn't necessary. Get the call, definitely Larry Utek pass interference, because he did not have the first down. That will give them an automatic first down on pass interference. But all Larry had to do was go up and make the tackle, and they would have been punting the ball.
So a break for the Bombers, who lost a touchdown on a penalty earlier. This one keeps their drive going.
Well, Larry Utek, number 8, just going out of your picture, will come in here, and he'll go over the top of Patterson. And they felt that he grabbed him before he had a chance to catch that ball.
Jay Washington to the 45-yard line. That's good for about 4. Tony Petruccio, number 68, coming in from defensive end with the Montreal tackle. We have 13 minutes and 25 seconds left here in the game. 14-7, Montreal leading Winnipeg. Rain holding off just nicely, thank you, in the second half after a wet second quarter tonight. Brock for a wide open Holmes, who comes down out of bounds at the Montreal bench.
Well, that was a big play because they had a good rush on Brock, and he laid that ball out there and had Bobby Hosea, number 32, beaten. But as he jumped up in the air to make the catch, he stepped out of bounds. And I'm not sure whether he had to jump up this much, whether he just could have reached up and caught the ball. But Brock, under a lot of pressure, just lays it up there. And if he just reached up, it looked like he could have caught it. But maybe he thought the defender was closer to him than he really was and was trying to protect the ball from him, because it did hang up there a long time.
He wasn't far from being in, though.
But he was out, no question. 45-yard line.
Big play.
3rd down and 6. Drew off with the punt. It's a good one. 15-yard line to Harris. And he is run out. The Alouettes will start deep. Rick House with the coverage for Winnipeg there. Tom?
And I'd like you to meet right now Junior Ayu's brother Sully, who is here. Well, he's living in California right now, but he's from Hawaii naturally. This is the first time you've seen the big brother play professional football, right?
First time.
What do you think about it? You've had, let's see now, 3/4 of the game under your belt.
It's the greatest. It's the greatest.
Absolute greatest. You play football?
Yeah, I used to play for Brigham Young University.
Yeah. And you got your father here, too.
My father and my wife and all of our families here.
The first trip to Montreal?
First trip. It's a beautiful city.
Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
First down, 17-yard line. David Green, his quickness gets him through an opening up in the area of the 23. Leo Ezrins, the middle linebacker, with the tackle. They'll put the ball down to the 24-yard line, so that is a 7-yard gain. It is 2nd and 3 with 11:52 to play in the game. Montreal, with a touchdown on the final play of the third quarter by David Green, makes it 14-7, the lead they enjoy right now. There he is with 92 yards on the night, approaching the 100 mark. Green again does not get the first down. Rolled back by big John Helton, the ex-Calgary Stampeder, number 99. It's going to be 3rd down and short yardage. Play resumes in just a moment.
John Helton, number 99, just does an excellent job of throwing Doug Payton, number 61, off and making the tackle on Green. And plays like this often go unnoticed because that was a very important play to give Winnipeg this ball.
Alouettes take no chances. Buono punts it away. Hangs up at midfield. Down to Holmes at the 50-yard line. Does a little reverse and ducks out of bounds just short of center field, the 54-yard line. Well, a reminder of what's coming up on Saturday on Sports Weekend. Live from Quebec City, the trials for the Americas team for the upcoming World Cup of Track and Field right here in the Olympic Stadium. Late in August, highlights of the National Junior Ladies Softball Championships and the Canadian National Swim Championships, both from Edmonton. That's on Sports Weekend Saturday on CBC television.
Well, Winnipeg, excellent field position at midfield, and important for them to move this ball.
Brock over the middle. Brian Gervais takes it down to the Montreal 42-yard line. Randy Rhino with the containment there, but it's a Blue Bomber first down. A gain of 14 yards.
Well, Brian Gervais has been moved around to a few clubs. Now he's playing this tight end spot. You can see him reach up there with his hand as he realized when he left the line of scrimmage, he was the free man going downfield. Nobody running a quick pass pattern, just picking the open holes and expecting Brock to find them.
Here's Washington. Little delay handoff as the backs were heading left. Brock gave it to him. Judges guessed right, met him right there. The 41-yard line. It is a gain of 1.5 yards. Ray Yock's Bombers with an important drive underway right here with just over 10 minutes until full time, trailing 14-7 to the Montreal Alouettes. The Bombers after win number 1 in 4 games. The Alouettes for temporary Eastern lead for their 3rd win in 5 games if they can get it. The flag has been thrown. Brock way down into the end zone. Through the hands of everybody. Holmes went up there with number 21 Randy Rhino and Dickie Harris covering. Incomplete.
Well, we've got Winnipeg Blue Bombers offside, so it means that it will be a 3rd down situation.
Number 70, decline, 3rd.
Holmes in trying to get downfield for that long pass that Brock loves to throw, especially to him with his great speed. Just jumped the gun a little bit right in front of the official.
Well, that Holmes has got speed, no question about that, and they all went up and came up empty.
Well, he's got great jumping ability. You watch now, he knows where that ball is, and he's just trying to get between Rhino and Harris. And again, even though he's double covered back there, when he goes up, he has a shot at that ball. He just lost the concentration as Harris shoved his hand in there, but nobody really deflected it.
Made the All-Star team in the West in 78 and 73, the NFL All-Rookie team with San Francisco. 48-yard line. Ruoff will try a long one. The distance and the accuracy right on. So the Bombers again come within 4 points. Ruoff's field goal is 3rd tonight, makes it a 14-10 game. Montreal leading. 9 minutes and 13 seconds left. The Alouettes will take it on the 35-yard line. David Green heading for a 100-yard night. It'll be the 2nd time this season he has done that. And right now, with his chief rivals Rowland and Metcalf. And MacArthur, not going to tomorrow night, has the Eastern rushing lead, over 300 yards.
Doug Smith a little concerned about the ball as to whether it is clean or not, or wet, and they're going to replace it for him.
It is wet. The rain has stopped. The artificial turf still retains much of that moisture that fell in the second quarter.
And there's a little coming from the players, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Always is. Joe Bynes rolling left. No catch, out of bounds. Bob Gaddis tried to tightrope it and stay in, but he couldn't handle it. They're on the 53-yard line, so it'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, I tell you, Gaddis has got Brad Wagner a little scared out there. The cornerback number 20 is having some problems. They've gone deep on him. He beat him cleanly once and dropped the ball in the end zone early in the ball game, and he's really pushing him off. And that particular time, Wagner wasn't within about 7 or 8 yards of him. As he's going downfield, you can see how clear he is. Wagner, the deep back, isn't even in the picture there, and certainly showing a lot of respect for Gaddis' speed.
Barnes goes to the right side. John O'Leary, a great catch to 55. The Winnipeg 44-yard line. Again, it is O'Leary coming up with a key reception for Montreal. The ball ahead of him. He had to stretch to make the catch.
Well, you can't catch him any better. One of the toughest catches to make, especially when you're throwing it as a quarterback, is right over top of your head. And O'Leary does this exceptionally well, reaching up. You could see his eyes go at the ball as it went into his hands, chased downfield, and finally pushed out by Vince Faze on number 9. But just an outstanding catch by John O'Leary. 4 of them for 97 yards tonight.
A 31-yarder right there. First down, the Winnipeg 44-yard line. This is David Green at the bottom of 35. And he becomes a parcel in the arms of Faison and Pearson. That'll be a 9-yard gain for David Green. Make it 8.5. It's a 1.5 yards to go for the Alouettes at the Bomber 35 with 7 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Over the 100-yard mark he goes at 1:02. O'Leary. 18-yard line. Again, a Montreal first down. So the Alouettes have got something going here. We'll be right back with you from Montreal.
John O'Leary, who's having one of his best ball games about a 1.5 years, comes through here just through the middle, does a good job of running behind the block, and is running with such power. That's the thing that we saw with John O'Leary when he first came to Montreal with this club.
He's got 150 yards on catches and rushes tonight. The Alouettes on the 18-yard line. There's the fake to Green. Bynes. Touchdown! Bob Gaddis. Brad Wagner has got to reach the height of frustration with his swat of the ball that missed into the arms of Bob Gaddis.
Well, Gaddis has been giving him some problems. Not much of a fake to Green, but you're right, Don. On this particular play, the ball wasn't thrown that well, and the defensive man, Wagner, was in excellent position.
Wow.
He had an interception. The ball went right through his hands, and Gaddis caught it. He said, look what I found. That sort of makes it even for the one he dropped in the end zone in the first quarter, but just a great job of catching it by Gaddis. But Wagner was in super position that time and should have had the interception.
A gift. Here's the point after.
With the benefit of hindsight, he would have been better off just to knock it down, though, wouldn't he?
Well,
Yep.
I think you have to go for the interception in the end zone. You take it because he had it clean.
The point after is through, and the Montreal Alouettes on Don Sweet's convert, the Bob Gaddis touchdown, increase their lead to 21-10. And we've got 6 minutes and 55 seconds left. Here it is again.
Well, one more look from a different angle. You see Gaddis at the top of the picture going down on Wagner. They're out of the picture now. Barnes knows he's going to run the out pattern, and Wagner is right in position, and there it goes through my hands, and look who's got it.
Ouch. "75 yards again, the Owls go. The capper, the Barnes to Gaddis pass. The Expos still trailing the Phillies at last report in the National League East in the 8th inning. Chicago beat the Pirates 15-2 this afternoon. So the Expos won't lose ground to Pittsburgh if they should fail to come back against Philadelphia. Toronto Blue Jays beating Kansas City 3-2 in the other game. A reminder again, the Phillies and Expos will be on CBC television tomorrow night from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia on Major League Baseball 79.
The Expos off on quite a road trip now, and a very important one coming up mid-August. Got the Pirates somewhere along the way, don't they, out there?
Later this trip, it's Philadelphia, New York, and Houston before they get home again. Right here to the Big O. 21-10. Montreal leading. 6:55 left. Don Sweet makes the kickoff. Faison, 4-yard line. And he gets Winnipeg back in the area of the 35-yard line for their first series of plays. Reminder again of our CFL coverage. It will continue next Tuesday night with the Tiger Cats against the Bombers in Winnipeg. That's the nationally televised game from Winnipeg Stadium. Hamilton and Winnipeg, August 14th on CBC television.
And we were talking to Terry Evanson, who's at the game here tonight. He's our new cohort out in the CBC crew in the West, and enjoying himself immensely.
He says the beat's working.
Well, you know about that, Tom.
A flag has been thrown.
Look out.
Brock getting out of the crowd, then falling across the 40-yard line. Jim Burrow put the tag on him there. But we do have this penalty marker to contend with. Six minutes and 28 seconds remaining.
Montreal.
There was Gordy Judges, number 75, offside for the Alouettes, their left defensive tackle, and a good one. So it is 1st and 5. Bombers from the 40. Jay Washington. Junior RU forced that play. Got some help from Wally Bono, and there is no gain. It is 2nd down and 5. You know, Rush, you give these Alouettes a lead, and the defense, which has been the core of their teams in Grey Cups and Grey Cup championship teams the last 5 years under both Levy and Scannella, really gets fired up at this stage of a game.
Well, they've got the veterans out there, and they've probably got as good a secondary to play in situations like this as anybody has in the CFL.
6 deep backs. Cousineau's out. Short pass. Knocked almost right back to Brock by Junior RU. Got a final baseball score from Philadelphia. The Phillies won it over the Expos 4-2.
Junior RU is having one of his better ball games that we've done over the last year. Does a good job again of beating Bill Allenbrook and just knocks that ball down and almost makes the interception.
Junior RU with his family watching puts on a good show for them.
And I'm sure their eyes are on him all the time.
Brock made a pretty good move there, too. The ball came right to him, but wisely he dropped it. Would have cost him about 10 yards.
Rene Ruoff has the punt away, heading for the sidelines, and out it goes at the Montreal bench. Around the 36-yard line. Brock has only one completion in his last 7 attempts as the Bombers desperately struggle for points here as they trail by 11 at 21-10. A 34-yarder that time by Ruoff, and Montreal will go from the 36. I'll tell you, his family's eyes may be on Junior RU. If I were the Bomber quarterback, I'd keep my eye on him as well.
Well, there's no question. When he's healthy, he can be one of those outstanding ball players. He's got that quickness and size that you, when you have those two and they go together, it just makes you just one of those great football players, or in any sport.
Montreal with a better passing game than the Bombers tonight. A stronger rushing game, led by David Green, who this time is chopped down early as he reached the area of the 37-yard line by Lee Esrins, the middle linebacker.
Now David Green carrying the mail for this club, number 72, Leo Esrins, that middle linebacker who's had some problems out there tonight in overrunning plays, does a good job of keeping the play in front of him, staying on his feet and keeping away from the blockers, and he makes the tackle for about a 2-yard gain.
Second down. 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Barnes going deep. It is good. Bob Gaddis again. In behind his adversary Brad Wagner for the completion.
Wow, Joe Barnes just laid this one out here. And again, Wagner was victimized. He got his back turned. He didn't know where it was. Gaddis happened to turn around at the right time, took it to the outside for 29 yards. But Wagner is going to remember number 22 for the Alouettes for a little while. And I'm sure he's not going to look forward to seeing those films of this game in a couple of days.
No, Gaddis has burned him. From the Bomber 43. David Green cannot get back to the right side and has no gain right there at the 43-yard line. Well, there's Junior and Juvenile, I guess they'd be called. Younger brother of Junior RU.
That's Sully, the guy I was talking to earlier.
Yeah. I think you mentioned senior RUs in the audience as well.
Right.
Junior hasn't let him down, has he?
No, sir.
Yeah, the two Washingtons, not related to each other, but not very happy right now.
Nor are Winnipeg supporters across the country, I'm sure, with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left. Big charge on Joe Barnes, and he has it away into safe country out of bounds. He had a rocky, his end, close enough so it's not called for grounding the ball. 2:41 left. We'll be right back. 21-10. Montreal leads Winnipeg with that much time remaining as the Alouettes have a 3rd down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Wally Buono, the punter, set to go. Alouettes with touchdowns in the 3rd and 4th quarters after the Bombers tied the game. Into the end zone, they'll take one. Holmes conceding a single point on a 46-yard punt by Wally Buono. And that makes it Montreal 22, Winnipeg 10. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining now. The Bombers have got to do something fast. That single won't hurt them. Of course, they had to have 2 touchdowns to win, at least a touchdown and field goal to, well, actually, no, 4 points. That's right. The 2 touchdowns they had to have, and they still do. Trailing by 12. Quick pop. Gervais takes it to the 42-yard line. That's good for 7.
Well, I think the Winnipeg team would be just happy to get that ball moving downfield and maybe have a chance to score a touchdown.
Gervais has been injured on a hard hit. UTEC and Judges combining to crack him down. And we may have a look at that right here, Russ.
Well, just a little dump pass to Brian Gervais, number 28. They've been doing this, looking for that open man. He's fighting for those extra yards. UTEC sort of hangs him up here. And there's the shot. He gets caught between Burrows and number 75, Gordon Judges, and that's where the punishment took place. He sort of got spun around by number 16, Jim Burrow, and then Gordon Judges gave him a pretty good pop in that ribcage area.
I think
that
he had.
hurts.
I think you're quite right, Russ. I think the main problem there is that he had the wind knocked out of him. He just couldn't get his breath.
Well, I hope that's all it is, because when a guy the size of Judges hits you,
breathing again. That's a terrible feeling when you have your wind knocked out, isn't it? Think I'll never breathe again. Yeah. Where's the next one?
Gervais taking some pretty good shots tonight.
He's made 4 catches for 44 yards. Leaves the Bombers 2nd and 3. Washington slipped, and it may have cost him a first down. It most certainly did, as he was getting up a full head of steam with a bit of an opening off right tackle. So it remains 3rd down and 3, maybe 4 yards now, as he lost a bit on that play.
Well, nothing to lose. Winnipeg in a 3rd and 4 situation is going to go for this with just over 2 minutes to go. Cousineau coming out. And Larry Utek, I'm sure, replacing him as that 6th defensive back.
We now have exactly 2 minutes to play. Brock, far side. It is no good. The Alouettes will take over on downs. Gordy Patterson diving for the ball and failing to come up with it.
Gord Patterson on isolation, going down, just running the out for the first down, and he does have it. Brock does a good job of throwing this ball away from the defenders low, and it just hit him in the face mask, and he didn't maintain possession. And Patterson a little upset with himself, I'm sure, on the sideline, feeling he should have made the catch to keep the drive going.
So the Alouettes certainly in a commanding position right now. The 1:52 left as they look for win number 3. The Bombers, barring a miracle, are headed for 0-4 in 1979. They lost their first 2 last year, came back to turn things around a bit. Having a tough start this time. Here's John O'Leary with all kinds of open real estate. At the Winnipeg 17-yard line.
Don, you have to be impressed by John O'Leary tonight. He came into this game a doubtful starter. He had some rib problems, and he's taped up pretty heavily, as Tom told us. And early in the ball game, he seemed to hurt his leg, but he's running with such authority, and he's just running with that quickness and also the determination that he showed when he first came here, and he has been impressive, and he must be close to 200 yards overall offensively tonight.
25 right there on that play. Here he goes again. He is stopped early this time after a gain of only 2 at the Bomber 15-yard line. 1:31 remaining.
Well, that offensive alignment of Dan Yoakum, Ray Watson, Doug Smith, Pat Vaughn, and Doug Payton has been criticized here for not helping this offense. Tonight they have done, I think, a very good job on the front 4 and the linebackers of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in allowing Green and O'Leary to run so freely.
Joe Barnes gets the rush. Down he goes from behind. Mike Dupree at right defensive end, number 53, came up from the back to put him in the sack. It's going to be 3rd down. The ball now at the 21-yard line, 3rd and 14, and here comes Don Sweet for one more try. That is the first sack by the Bombers tonight. It comes with 1:10 in playing time remaining. Terry Evanson, our Western analyst, has joined us now. If you'll share a mic. A comment about the Bombers. I know their fans have got to be concerned right now.
Well, I was disappointed in the call where Washington scored a touchdown and it was a holding penalty. I think it turned the whole game right around. Just took the steam right out of the team. They were in it until that point, and then Montreal just steamrolled over them after.
All right, here is the 3-point effort by Don Sweet from the 28-yard line. Attilio holding, and it is good all the way. The Alouettes have a 15-point lead. And quite obviously an unbeatable lead right now at 25-10 with 49 precious seconds of playing time left for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Well, Terry, you'll be out in Winnipeg next week for our CBC telecast between the Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You'll have 2 teams in desperate need of a win.
Well, you know, the defense is hurting so badly. I think Leo Ezrins is a good, sound football player, but he's out of position. And you can see John O'Leary ran exceptionally well tonight, but they took advantage of that. Montreal needed the win, and they went after the middle. And, you know, you can't fault the guy, but that's the way it goes.
All right, here's Billy Troop back in, giving it to Larry Washington. A gainer of 11 for a Winnipeg first down across the 45-yard line with now 44 seconds remaining. The Bombers were certainly in it. They came back to tie it early in quarter number 3 at 14-14. Then the Alouette offense finally got in the high gear. 2 touchdowns, some points kicked by Bueno and Sweet. And they rolled up 18 points to the Bombers 3 for the rest of the way. Here is Holmes getting tapped out of bounds by Bobby Hosea at the 54-yard line. And that is good for a gain of about 8.
Don, you've got the situation now where the Montreal team is just going to give up those short passes. I think one of the other situations, maybe, Terry, that you can comment on is the two quarterbacks now, Brock and Troop, because certainly using them both in this ball game and not getting too much offense, Ray Yach has a bit of a problem as to what he's going to do in the games to come.
Interception for Randy Rhino. He might have trapped that ball for a moment, but they say it's a catch by him for a turnover at the 49-yard line.
Russ, they're trying to hit on the under seams of the linebackers, and they're not getting good movement from their receivers. This guy's playing out of position. Mike Holmes has got to catch the football for Winnipeg if they're going to do anything downfield. And if they go on top a lot, well, they're going to have to hit the short pass, and they're not doing it. I don't know if they're going to get the movement out of Billy Troop or not. Larry Washington's not running the football. Jay Washington's not running the football. If you got those two big horses not doing it, I don't see how you're going to move this football team, Russell.
Well, I'm sure Ray Yach has got some things to think about over the next week or two, because he had 2 weeks to prepare for this particular ball game after a very good football game against the BC Lions, and now not getting the offense he expected. Brock giving them a little offense in that third quarter, as you say, Terry, being turned off by that holding call against Bisaglia when Washington took it in for the touchdown. But there are some problems, and when you have two quarterbacks and you alternate them back and forth, I myself, as an ex-quarterback, always felt that, hey, you want to know it's your ball game and you have to play. And when you're sitting there wondering if the other guy's going to replace you, you do get a little nervous. You maybe don't stick to the game plan as much as you should.
Now to the final 8 seconds, Terry. Sorry, it's no question now that Barnes is going to ground it all the way out. You were saying?
Well, and the players are unsettled too, because they don't know what to expect. They can't think of what play is going to be called. They can't gear up and fire out. It's a very difficult time to play under. The circumstances, the pressure builds up, and you get a hit and miss affair, and it's difficult to win. There's no doubt about it.
Well, this should take care of it then. Time down to 0 across the board. Third down for the Alouettes. Barnes about to make it official, and he does right there. As the Alouettes win a big one, the Bombers lose their 4th in succession. Montreal coming through with a spirited second-half drive originating midway in the third quarter, en route to a 25-10 win and a well-deserved win over Ray Yach. And as Terry and Russ said, a man who's got some thinking to do about the Bombers before their next appearance. They'll play the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You'll see that on CBC television next Tuesday night. Joe Scannelli, his arm around his opponent, walking away here at the Big O in Montreal. Junior Ayu with his younger brother after a solid defensive night. A display, I'm sure, that pleased his family visiting from Hawaii no end. That final score again is Montreal 25 and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 10.
Tom McKee back at Olympic Stadium. The Montreal Alouettes have defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and it's always a pleasure to talk to a winning coach. Mind you, we don't have the opportunity to talk to a losing coach too often. But, Joe, did you ever feel the game was really in jeopardy too much as far as you were concerned?
Yes, I did. I thought when early in the game, Joe had moved the ball very well. We came out with 6 points, and then the rain came, and it really hurt his game because he had people open, and the ball was slipping out of his hand. I got a little worried about it.
That must be very frustrating when you find yourself getting down into pay dirt territory and you can't finish it off with a big major score.
Well, I'm not frustrated. 25 points is good. I don't care how we get them, and I'm happy about it. And I thought Joe played a fine game, good second half. I thought the defense was outstanding, and our offensive line has been taking a lot of heat. They did a fine job of blocking. Helton was not a factor. We were worried about him all day.
I was talking to Ray Yach before the game, in fact, at the beginning of our show, saying that this was a very important game for them, perhaps even more important for you. A turnaround game. You were 500 ball. Now first place is up for grabs, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was. I said to Ray after the game, I think we needed it more than you. Of course, he didn't agree. But it was an important game for us, and it means a lot to us now.
What about your injuries? People like Dallariva and that.
Well, we can keep playing while they heal, and it's all to our good, and that's Canadian football. You got to live with that.
Joe, what do you think about this business? Now, you're going into a 2-week period here. Is that always good to go 2 weeks without a game?
Right now it's good. I think it gives a chance to rest up and heal up because we're really beat up.
What about the players that were out there? I know John O'Leary was hurting. I want to talk to him more specifically about that, but did you have many more walking wounded, as they say?
Well, not too bad. No, David Green got it in the knee. McMahon is still on the gimp, but he plays anyway. I think they're courageous kids, and they play awful tough. They're a mentally tough team.
You going to give them a day off?
Oh, they're going to get 4 days off.
4 days
That's
off.
right.
Unheard of in Canadian football. Joe, thank you very much. The winning coach, Joe Scannella, and the winning quarterback is Joe Barnes. From Joe to Joe. Joe, a great game.
Thanks, Tom. I'll tell you, I had a little worried there in the third quarter. We stopped ourselves, you know, in a couple of turnovers and let them get back in the ball game. Made it an exciting game, and I was real proud of the way our offense all came back. We didn't lose our poise, and, you know, we put a couple of touchdowns across.
Coach seemed to be a little concerned when that rain came.
I was too. You know, I was having a hard time throwing the ball. I just, you know, my small hands just don't want to grip the, you know, the wet ball. But, you know, the rain stopped, and, you know, we got our passing game down.
You had our statistics show 12 completions in 25 attempts. Now, we do have to take into consideration the rain there, I guess, huh?
Well, I don't know. I overthrew some receivers, and, you know, overthrew Bobby a couple times on the ups. And then, you know, we had I don't think any drop balls. But, you know, it's just a matter, you know, the rain kind of, you know, hurt us there in the second quarter.
So they had a crazy defense going there when they brought those deep men up. It looked like they had a whole bunch of linebackers.
That's right. They really, you know, came up and played, you know, tough, you know, bump man-to-man. And that's why we thought we'd run a lot of ups with Bobby. You know, Bobby, they got to respect him. He's got a lot of speed. And, you know, unfortunately, we only hit 1 out of 3. If we could hit a couple of them, you know, could have been, you know, put the game out of reach early.
Yeah, it's easy to play the game from the sidelines or up in the press box, but we thought you might be able to burn them a little bit more.
Well, we tried, but, you know, had to respect their pass rush. You know, it's kind of tough when you got guys like John Helton and, you know, Billy Howard coming at you, you know. So,
Joe, let's take a look here. This goes to Gaddis.
Okay, let me see what this is. Oh, this was the touchdown pass to Gaddis.
Remember these, don't you, Joe?
I'll tell you what, I told Gaddis I'd rather be lucky than have all the skill. You know, there's the out pattern. Bobby's trying to get in the end zone. The guy he had a chance for the interception. Bobby did a good job concentrating on the ball, made a super catch.
Could you see that from where you were?
Yeah, when I first saw let loose the ball and I saw the defensive back there, I said, oh, interception. But, you know, like I said, I'd rather have all the luck than all the skill.
Okay, and you've always been known to be not too shy when it comes to running with the ball?
Okay, this was, I had a screen set up, and their linebackers read it real well and got out under the screen. I saw a hole, see the defensive lineman chasing the screen. And I just took off and tried to get out of bounds before I got hurt. See Dave Green waving me out of bounds. Got the first down.
That looks like a broken play.
That's what it was. Like I say, a screen, and they took the screen, man, and left me open.
Well, maybe you could work on that somewhat.
That's right. It's a good quarterback draw.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. Good game. Nice talking to you. Here's a man unbelievable. How are you, John?
How are you?
How do you feel now?
Oh, I feel a lot better. It's good. I know we have a couple of weeks off here, and, you know, we have 4 days off and a chance to rest up and get healthy again.
Speaking of being healthy, you were telling me before the game, in fact, telling us all, that you're having some problems right in here, right?
Yeah, and now I know what Condrers is going through. I don't think I had anything as near as serious as he did, but I pulled some muscles in my ribs, and they went into spasm, and I couldn't even breathe on 2 days ago. Went to the hospital, got him checked out, and up till 4 o'clock today, I didn't know whether I was going to play or not.
How did you do that?
I was just running, didn't get hit or anything. I think I just wasn't warmed up properly, and I twisted, and I just couldn't breathe. And they thought I broke a rib or lung collapse or something like that. But as it turned out, it worked out okay, and guys up front did a super job tonight.
Let's take a look at some of your running plan at the same time. Explain. You said that you were having trouble pivoting with the top part of your body as opposed to going straight ahead.
That's a 46 slant. As you see Ray watching, took the guy way over. I just read his block and cut back against the grain. And, you know, they play their halfbacks right up on the line of scrimmage. If you break it through the line, you're running into their free safety, the Paul.
Your total offense was 175 yards.
Well, that's pretty good. But, you know, I'd like to have better games. But as long as the big guys up front do the job, that's the most important thing. That makes football fun.
Let's take another look here.
All right. See, they're playing a double wide here, and the linebacker is inside the end. So what they do is they blitz the linebacker, and they play a green dog on the end, which means that he's got me man for man. So I just ran away from him, and then Joe led me perfectly. It was just, you know, a perfectly thrown pass.
Yeah, but you know, John, again, going back to before the game, you said up till 4 o'clock. They didn't want you to play, basically, did they?
No, but I was at a pregame meal today, and the lineman told me they'd never speak to me again if I didn't play. And my mom and brother are in town, and it's kind of thing where I figured, well, I work too hard now for my position, and I don't want to take a chance going out when I think I can play and let somebody else come in and have a great game, and I'll be on the bench.
Now, taking into consideration that you were walking wounded and you were running a little bit hurt, I'm surprised they used you as much as they did. Were you?
Well, no, because when you decide to play and you strap it on, there's no holds barred. You go after it, and we didn't change our offense at all. We decided we were going to run the ball, try to hit the little swings, and Dave Green played well, and he takes a lot of pressure off of me. So, when you're out in the field, you don't worry about who's carrying the ball. We switch alternately by ourselves.
I'm not putting the knock on you at all, but I think it's the best game you've played in 1.5 years, maybe.
Well, I don't carry the ball a whole lot, as much as I used to, but I'm working on my blocking this year, and I think if I can fit into the overall picture, catching the ball, blocking, and running, I can help the team.
You got 4 days off coming up, you know that?
Yeah, I think I'm heading back to the Big Apple and spend some time with my folks.
Relax a little bit. Thank you very much. Okay. John O'Leary, what a great offensive night he had for these Montreal Alouettes. You can hear the fans up there, a lot of them staying behind. Let's go up to the press box and check in with Don Chevrier again.
Okay, Tom, Russ and Terry here with me. Terry, you were saying while the interview was going on that O'Leary's been under some pressure here in Montreal, fans getting down on him, so it was a good night to come through.
Well, I've always been a John O'Leary fan. He's always come to play, and they just felt they didn't have the speed to make the big play for them. With David Green, they felt they had the outside running, but they wanted a dual running back. And because they weren't passing the ball, they weren't getting the completions downfield. But he comes to play every game, and I love him. I really think he's a heck of a football player.
Yeah, he had a good night playing hurt, as they say. Russ, getting back to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've got to go home and regroup now, and this has got to be a team under a certain amount of pressure, and I hope not panic in their next game, because that can set in when things aren't going well. You can make some wrong moves, and you can gamble, and you can do things you're sorry for.
Well, with them being 0-4 now, they've got to go back to the Western Conference and play some games out there, as well as playing Hamilton in their next outing. But I think the biggest problem they have now, they've got 3 other teams that are running away and hiding out there, with Calgary, Edmonton, and BC getting off to the good starts. Saskatchewan and Winnipeg haven't won a ball game out there. And I think that, as you say, if they start to panic, it may just go downhill from there. But I think one of the situations that has to come up, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that I think Ray Yock is going to have to make a decision on those quarterbacks. I know when he was in Edmonton, he got the good work out of Wilkie, and it worked fairly well when Wilkie got hurt to bring in the second quarterback. But I really think that with Brock and with Troop, maybe he's going to have to make a decision. And I know in the last couple of ball games, Brock has had some knee problems, and Troop did play exceptionally well in the BC game when they should have won, they feel, against the British Columbia Lions. But I think that is probably one of the major situations, because the defense is going to have some problems. They got a lot of rookies, but offensively they got to get some points on the board. They got to score some touchdowns.
Well, while the Bombers regroup, let's go down to a guy who was a key factor in this ball game again tonight. Tom McKee with Carl Cornell now.
Okay, and Carl, let's continue on from what Russ Jackson was saying about 2 quarterbacks going for Winnipeg. Does that give you any special problems? First it was Billy Troop, and then they came back with Brock.
Well, I think we knew they're going to start Troop tonight. He doesn't sprint out quite as much as Ralph Brock does. He got hurt, so they sent Brock in, and Brock was throwing the passes a little quicker. They were completing some, driving, but we overall, as a defense, were holding. The defensive backs played very well. They kept their wide receivers from catching a long bomb, and we didn't let them score tonight.
Well, I think that is the major thing right there, that they did not get a major on you.
Yeah, very true, and overall, offensively, our offense probably played the finest they played all season, balance-wise. They controlled the ball, they got the first downs when they needed it, and we, the defense, gave them back the ball.
Carl, as I said to the other guys, a few days off coming up, have a nice short vacation in about a third the way through the season. And good luck in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Okay, Carl Cornell. Now let's go back to Don Chevrier.
All right, we'll rejoin Thomas in a moment with Peter Dallariva, in a few moments, actually. But right now, let's find out what Jenny Meldrum has learned about the game of football in her lesson for tonight. Jenny?
Ready?
Oh, yeah. Good job.
The thing with a defensive back is you always have to have a little cushion. I can't let you get up close to me unless I do have any pitches.
Okay, so now I'm going to try and outthink you, right?
Right.
Okay. Rob I, 52, flare, Z under, on two, ready, break. 144.
Set.
Set, hot.
Up one.
Up one.
Up two.
What do I do?
Come off low, okay?
Uh-huh.
And just raise your head and look for his numbers and put your head right in his numbers.
Okay.
All right, and then try to take your hands and shoot him in there. Hit! Oh! Move on.
One of the things that confuses me most in the game of football is penalties. And to shed some light on this, I've asked Mr. Bill Fry, Director of Officiating of the Canadian Football League, to perhaps guide us through a clinic on penalty calls. Bill, it gets very confusing. Down on the line, for example.
Yes, Jenny, the most common penalties on the line are procedure calls and offside calls. Procedure call takes place when a lineman is in a 3 or 4 point stance and he comes out of that stance before the ball is snapped. That is definitely a penalty. The other type is an offside penalty where a lineman will cross the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped, and those are two of the most common.
I think we're most familiar with the business of the man jumping out before the ball is snapped. That is something that we do see.
Both of these infractions are 5-yard penalty infractions, and they are subject to the option of the non-offending captain, non-offending team.
Okay, now what don't we see on the line?
Well, possibly holding. That's due to the pile of players after the ball is snapped. That's where the officials come into play. And holding takes place in many ways. One really is the grabbing of the sweater and to restrict a defensive man's actions.
Okay, now, moving off the line, what is the most common penalty that may occur?
Well, I guess pass interference probably is the next big one. That is either offensively or defensively that causes the officials and ourselves quite concerned.
Now, you mean that when someone is going for the ball?
Yes, if an offensive pattern is set and the offensive man in going for the ball commits an infraction against the man defending him, then it's an offensive pass interference.
What kind of infraction would he commit?
He normally, if he's in a tight situation, will push the defensive player out of the way so it leaves him free access to catch the ball.
Okay, now in defensive passing, what sort of penalties are incurred there?
Well, defense is a little different. The defensive man, not knowing what pattern is going to be committed and executed by the offense, he is allowed to stand his ground. And if an offensive man comes at him, he can, within 1 yard of him, knock that offensive man down. But if that offensive man suddenly darts right or left, and the defensive man leaves the position he's defending and goes and fouls that offensive man, then you've got a defensive pass interference.
Bill, someone has told me that there are two different kinds of penalties. There's contact and screening on the pass defending. Is that correct?
Yes, screening, that's another infraction that's called quite a bit, and probably the average fan, doesn't realize that a defensive man can prevent the offensive pass receiver from receiving the ball by merely standing in front of him and not looking at the ball being thrown. In other words, you must play the ball and not the man.
So this is why we hear a great cry come up from the stands, hey, he didn't touch him, but in actual fact it is a penalty.
That is correct, even though he's within a couple of yards. He's blocking the pass receiver's view, and he himself is not looking at the flight path of the ball.
Okay, now, when we get into kicking and, for example, contacting the kicker, there are penalties there, are there not?
Yes, Jenny, contacting the kicker, that infraction is committed when the kicker kicks the ball. Now, the act of kicking commences when the punter or kicker lifts his foot off the ground to kick the ball, and the act of kicking terminates when his foot returns to the ground. If he is contacted in that interim, it's contacting the kicker, and the penalty for that this year is 10 yards. In advance to the point of last scrimmage. It may or may not give that team a first down, depending on how many they had to go at the time.
Now, once the kicker has got rid of the ball, if he's hit, is there any penalty there?
Yes, because now you're into another rule. If the act of kicking terminates and now the kicker is contacted, prior to the receiving team catching the ball, Now you are contacting an onside man because he or an onside player on his side are the only members of that team that can go downfield and recover the kick.
Right.
So if you take the feet from under him, you're preventing him from going down. That's another rule.
Blocking on kicks. Are there penalties for example, if somebody has kicked the ball and they're down the field returning it? Is that what a penalty, where a penalty is incurred?
Yes, this is relatively new too in the Canadian Football League as of last year, although the year before it was put in partially, in that on all kicks, the team receiving the ball can only interfere with the tacklers coming downfield by contacting them above the waist.
Okay. Now, I think we've pretty well gone through the visible penalties. As a former referee yourself, how do you stay in shape for this kind of thing? It must be very difficult. These men run at least 10 times the length of the field that a football player does.
Yes, they do, and I leave that up to them. In other words, when the season starts, I expect every official turns up in excellent shape. If he doesn't, then of course he has to answer to me.
Bill, do the officials miss many calls?
Well, they don't knowingly, I can tell you that, Jenny, but there's a lot of action out in that field once the ball is snapped, and I'm sure that if it's not caught, it's because it wasn't seen.
Back at Olympic Stadium now with Peter Dallariva, who is our expert analyst, and one of them tonight anyway. Peter, the Montreal Alouettes were 6-point favorites going into this game, and they made a shambles on that prediction.
Well, Tom, we kind of almost blew it again. You know, we kind of trying to find ways how to lose ball games. We have this past year, you know, dropping balls and getting penalties, a lot of penalties. And, you know, it was kind of tight there in the first half, and then we kind of caught a few balls and scored a couple of touchdowns the second half and pulled it out.
And just to repeat, you're out with that bad ankle, whatever it may be, whether it's ligaments or whether it's just a sprain. You got 2 weeks off. Hope it goes well for you. Thank you very much, Peter Dallariva.
Canadian Professional Football on CBC. Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, owned by Canadians, working for Canadians. General Motors and your Chevrolet and Oldsmobile dealers across Canada.
The final score from Olympic Stadium, the Montreal Alouettes defeat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 25-10. We invite you to join us again next Tuesday as we have more interlocking conference action, the Hamilton Tiger Cats against the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg. Till then, this is Tom McKee speaking for Russ Jackson and Don Chevrier, saying so long for the CFL from Montreal.
This is CBC.